Good evening. Good evening. It is 5:50 p.m. August 25th, Monday, as a matter of fact. This is the most radical stream on the internet, in my opinion. And tonight we will be talking to Non-Fawn, who's doing a charity stream. So we're going to be stealing his viewers and hopefully stealing his donos as well, stealing them from innocent shrimp. Embrace the neolib. We'll see, David. We'll see. Not sure. What is a non-fawn? You'll find out shortly. Non-fawn is a neolib who wants to convince me to embrace the neolib pill, as David said. And maybe I will. I'm not. I don't know that I'm fundamentally anti-neolib, but I think I might be. We'll see. I definitely have concerns. Non-fawn's cool though. He's not an neolib. He's a good one. He's one of the good ones. I'm making shrimp pasta tonight on behalf of Non-Fawn. Love that, Josh. Good to see you. Also good to see you, David and Defnot. Good to see you, Flezzy B. What do you consider yourself? I usually say I'm like left of liberal. That's what I like to say. I'm left of liberal. Sympathetic to a lot of the far left, skeptical in general of everybody, but definitely left of liberal is it's where my heart tugs me. But I haven't like read enough to give myself like an official label, you know. What's up, Nick Cody? Thanks for your comment earlier. Totally agree with you. Totally agree on your concerns about embracing just the good parts of the Bible, right? What's up, Mike Ball? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping in. Make sure I'll hit that like button so that more people get suggested the stream and they can be radicalized like you've all been. Like Umbreon is apparently being right now. He's already crying. We just started. Hey, buddy. What's up? Where even are you? He's lost. Nightbot, take that back, okay? Don't worry about Nightbot, Mike Ball. You're allowed to use caps here. I took away Nightbot's wrench, so it's more of he's like a suggestion. Nightbot's just like, hey, please stop spamming caps. I would like you to stop spamming caps, but it can't stop you. It can't do shit. Yeah, be nice, Nightbot. We have the authority here. You know, I don't like this meme, by the way, Mike Ball. The sheet meme, the sheet. I think that's I don't think you use it this way, but it's kind of a racist meme. Not a fan personally of the sheet meme. I consider myself generally neoliberal in the sense that my ideals are generally to the left of the Democratic Party, but I recognize the need to establish a coalition to get policy passed. Yeah, sure. Okay. If that's the definition, I don't think that's the definition of neoliberal that Non-Fawn's going to be coercing me into tonight. Davidson, Mike low-key racist. Oh no, it's over for Mike. Mike and Sarah are both completely exposed and destroyed. Brr, says Michelle. Good to see you, Michelle. I get what you're saying. Don't use it in that way, but I understand. Yeah. I figured you would hear me on that. Yes, we love Michelle here. Very funny. I don't really fit in anywhere but closest to libertarian. Okay. Like the libertarians who like want to get rid of driver's licenses, or like a left. I think I might be like a kind of left libertarian, like Like I have like again, in my heart of hearts, I think I have like anarchist sympathies. Like the whole like anti-hierarchy kind of memes. I don't know much about those ones. I feel like I know a little bit of Dave Smith. Is that the one who had that fight with Joe Rogan? Or not Joe Rogan, with Douglas Murray on Joe Rogan about Israel or whatever. If that's who I'm thinking of. More economic based. Yeah. Non-Fawn is a big economics nerd. He knows a lot about economics, which I'm excited about, because I don't really realistically know a lot of economics theory. Just like a little bit. I took like a high school econ class and I did okay, you know. But I'm good at math, and I'm good at problem solving, coding, logic. So I think I have the fundamentals to learn some economics. Maybe that's going to be something we can work on all together eventually. Good to see you, KO Dave. What's next? A license to use a toaster? That's what I'm saying, right? I need a license to use a toaster? You don't need a license to drive a sandwich. Me too, but then it's just the biggest gang that thrives. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like the biggest gang thriving. I like all gangs thriving. I just want both teams to have fun, you know? When I watch sports, I just want both teams to have fun. Yes, that is him. Okay. I don't know a ton about him, but I definitely don't like Douglas Murray, so I hated that conversation. Big anti-Douglas Murray fan. It just creates a power vacuum with no structure to remedy it. Yeah, I agree. World economics is fascinating. Yeah. I'm a curious cat. Economics is probably the most impenetrable political topic for me. As in, like, it's hard for you to engage with. It does. I do feel like I feel like I get lost a lot of times when people are having economics conversations. So maybe Non-Fawn can simplify some of the stuff for my layman brain, my little coder brain. Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and get those cute emotes. The Shrek Care, the BB Umbreon. This guy, by the way. Right here. Right here. Yes, you. Yes, I am auctioning off my dog. Just kidding. You guys can't have him. But you can have a little sticker of him in a baby Umbreon emote, like Fuzzy said, if you get a membership. On a modern left-right scale, I'm more left of center. Yeah, definitely me too. Definitely to the left. Look at that, Def Not with the YouTube membership. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Def Not. Appreciate your support always. You've been fantastic. Thank you. And enjoy your new emotes. Enjoy the baby Umbreon. Yes, indeed. That's how it's done. Thank you for showing them. Appreciate you, Def Not. Whoa. Yeah, he's a cute dog. He's biting me right now. Trying to get my attention. You have my attention, sir. I'm just talking to people on the internet right now. I'm talking to all my parasocial friends on the internet. We love the BB Umbreon emote. I know, poor boy. Oh, he's a poor boy, poor dog. The key is to talk in a way that's not a bunch of words being said and it becomes monotonous. The key is to talk in a way the majority can understand. Yeah, for sure. Accessible information or accessible communication is important. Excuse me, sir. That kind of language will not be tolerated here. Oh, it's 5:59. I'm supposed to join Non-Fawn's. I gotta join. Hang on 1 second. Does he give me perms? No, he didn't give me perms. I'll join the waiting room. I'm gonna share the screen. Share Discord. You guys can see my Discord now. Enjoy. Look how many Discords I'm in so many servers. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the map. Just turn Ryan into a neoliberal. Ryan is closer to be a gay man instead of a neoliberal. You know that those two are not mutually exclusive. Hey, what's up? What's up, Non-Fawn? I am streaming this as well. So if you guys in my chat can let me know if you guys can hear non-fawn, please. I'm stealing from the Shrimp Welfare Fund. Oh, it's not? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, hang on. Sure am. Can't click on it. Wait. Okay, there we go. Here I am. What's up, buddy? All right, I'm going to let my dog run around. Oh, Fuzzy, they don't hear you. Let me see if I can fix that. Uh-oh. Unacceptable. Hopefully it's not like to share audio, share a tab instead. Oh no! Oh, okay, I might have to join Discord on my browser so that I can share it because I'm in StreamYard. Life hacks. Okay, it'll be just a minute, everybody. Just a moment. I have to like open up Discord and use the login QR code, all this jazz. How you doing, Namfon? Well, it's just you and me and your chat. I don't think so. It's usually on panels, or I mean your chat, or vice versa. But no, I'm doing quite well. Okay, I'm gonna join on this now. I don't know if I think I have to, yeah. Okay, let's try this again. Now I'm gonna share this tab, share screen, Discord, also share audio. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Look at that, everybody. Now, Non-Fawn, say some words for us.
Yeah, what's up, Ryan's chat? Welcome to the cooler stream, okay?
Apparently. Need you all to let me know. Still no, wait, you're kidding, right? You typed that really fast, David. I don't know. There's no way you guys can't hear. The audio is being shared. Okay, Fuzzy said they hear you. They hear you. Okay.
Gaslighting you, yep.
Yeah. Many such cases.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. Well, you ready?
I guess so. Yeah. Do you want to?
All right. What's up?
Or how do we want to start this?
Okay. So, to some extent, I think you're going to lead the conversation, or we'll talk about kind of what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, as the ultimate neoliberal, okay, whenever I am on these Sarah panels with you, okay, or other more left-leaning people, I think you describe yourself. Do you describe yourself as a leftist? I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably fair. I say like left of liberal generally, but yeah, leftist is fine. I'm comfortable being identified as a leftist.
Sure. Okay. So I think a lot of times there's just there's takes that are just bad. Okay, on taxes, on healthcare, okay, on housing. So I get sort of the broadest question I would ask is like, essentially, like, how well do you think the middle and lower classes are doing today relative to the 50s and 60s and 70s and all that? And what do you think are the biggest problems that they face right now? And then what the solutions to those problems would be? Okay.
My gut tells me they're better off now than they were in the 50s, based on everything I understand. That's probably true. And what are the biggest problems? Well, in America, I think luckily we don't have like people starving, which I think is cool. I think what's that infamous line where like people were making fun of Bernie for saying that bread lines were a good thing, but it's like, well, if the alternative is no bread, I think I agree with him. So I like that. I like when people can eat. I don't love what I feel, or I'm at least so I'm not like super economically versed. But I have a lot of vibes. And my vibes tell me that there's a lot of exploitation around the globe right now, and I feel like that's not great. And I also think I'm happy that like I think we live in like a really like prosperous moment in history, especially us. Like the fact that we can sit here and have this conversation. I can feed myself and my dog, and if people want to help me eat even more, they can donate super chats and memberships and all that fun stuff. I think that's awesome. I also have like great safety nets in my life, so like if something went horribly wrong, I feel like I'm not in any danger of being homeless. I think a lot of people are. I think that's not great. I also have concerns about the general consolidation of power, especially right now, because I think we're seeing what I think like a lot of leftists have been pointing to is like the fears that they have about the tendency of neoliberalism towards like fascism, and like we are really witnessing in real time like Donald Trump is someone who is bending in every corner of the Constitution to his whim, and I don't know how neoliberalism accounts for a character like Trump, but I think our systems as they stand, they certainly like there's gonna be people like Trump, and I'm open to people who have ideological tendencies that would offer improvements, offer better systems. I'm open-minded to those systems. I'm usually very skeptical of anybody who offers those systems or who says they have a pathway to those systems. I tend not to trust any again because I really like my day-to-day life. I feel very safe, and I don't want to not feel safe, and so it scares me that people would want to make like really radical changes that might go through a bunch of turmoil and stuff that I don't think many people are going to be on board with. But then I also sympathetic to a bunch of people who are already living in pretty turmoil situations, and I don't know how to reconcile all that. But yeah, that's kind of just a big spatter
Wow.
of my brain state.
Radical coder, and not even for a radical change. Okay, just one thing before we get into a few of the things you said. I was just like, so what are the changes that you would want to see? Like broadly, what would we do to the economy? What would we do to the government?
I don't know. Like, I don't have like broad economic prescriptions really necessarily. I think I like universal healthcare, stuff like that. I think I tend to like programs like that for like things that are like needs. I'm not like I don't know. I'm not like I feel like there's a dogmatic attachment to markets from neolibs that I'm not sure that I mean I could be like convinced on various issues that like markets are the best way to handle this or that, but like the dogmatic attachment, dogmatic attachments in general always scare me, which I think is why I'm so open-minded to completely different like worldviews. So I don't know where does that leave us?
Sure. So I think that might be the place we start actually. So I think sort of broadly, like when I say neoliberal, I don't mean 100% libertarian. We're gonna like fucking privatize everything. Like I think so I do believe like there should be some government intervention some at a time. Okay, but I think. I guess broadly I would say like I have a pretty heavy presumption in favor of market systems. I'll get into why in a second. And I think that when a government does intervene, they should do what I would say is like working with market forces, rather than against them essentially. So like, if we want to have some green energy, which I'm in favor of, a way to like work with markets would be either to do like a carbon tax and like, not a carbon tax. It's like cap and trade where we say like each company gets a certain number of like carbon units that they're allowed to emit, and then they're allowed to trade those permits for emitting on an open market. And that way, some firms have an incentive to innovate, get rid of their what's emitting. That way, they can sell their own shares in a market or whatever. And some companies would be buying the emission permits to do things like that. So I guess so for markets, I think. It just like really broadly, I just think like markets are pretty good at like aggregating information, aggregating consumer preferences in a way typically governments can't do. governments don't have all the information on what exactly consumers want, on what everyone's risk preference is, what everyone's time preference is. And the profit and loss system within markets tends to align incentives decently well. Not obviously doesn't work 100% of the time. I'm going to claim that when it comes to just allocating resources efficiently, right? So like each resource on the margin is typically going to end up in the hands of someone who has the most value, for that thing. So if we're running a railway line, and I do actually think there could be a case for government intervention in railways, and the engineer faces a choice to go between to go through a mountain and dig a tunnel that's going to require a lot of engineering, a lot of concrete, or go around the mountain and use steel. I think markets have a very solid way to address that, which is the price mechanism. You want to minimize your cost, and the price of stuff reflects, essentially how abundant that material is. And that gives, that makes it really easy for whoever's building the train to say, I'm just going to do whatever minimizing my cost. And that has the sort of spillover benefit that, I'm using the more abundant resource and I'm letting the more scarce resource, or the resource that's more heavily valued elsewhere. And I'm, letting other people use that essentially. So I think broadly, that's the fundamental reason I have a presumption in favor of the market.
I think that's fair in general. I think markets are cool. Markets are, I think, normally. Yeah. Again, I don't disagree with the efficiency and the use practically of markets at all. I don't think so. It would more be my concern is generally going to be externalities. I believe that's the right word. Whether it's climate action or climate impact rather, or fascist takeovers of the U.S. government. How does
your internet is kind of
what kind of guardrails?
Your internet does seem
what? Oh, my internet? What?
It does seem like your internet's kind of crapping out a little bit. Your webcam is pixelated, and you sound a little bit robotic. I don't know.
Oh no,
it might be because of the browser thing, but you sound better now. But
let me close some,
you're higher quality now too.
That's right. Thanks to neoliberalism.
True. Okay, so repeat I heard the general I agree markets are cool, but externalities, how do we deal with those?
Yes. Whether those externalities are climate impact or fascist takeovers of the U.S. government, what kind of guardrails does neoliberalism have for these sorts of things? Because it doesn't seem like they've succeeded.
So I guess
so far.
Yeah. We might have to define exactly what we mean by neoliberalism, but I think a neoliberal political system has the same type of guardrails essentially any political system would have. And I will say, it does just seem like generally states that at least some people would describe as neoliberal have better guardrails than states that some people would describe as socialist historically, right? It does seem not that there aren't, democratic countries that have also been in capitalist countries that have been, authoritarian coup or whatever. But it does seem like historically in a lot of socialist countries, people have been able to centralize power. People have been able to, get away with non-democratic governments, right? And I think neoliberalism, I don't think is that much of a political system. I think you can have broadly, either the type of government we have here, we have a obviously federal system, we have a non-parliamentary system, presidential system, and most European countries, which at least some people would describe as neoliberal. I think they're less neoliberal than us. They obviously, a lot of them have unitary states, a lot of them have parliamentary systems with a fused executive and legislative branch. Whatever checks and balances are going to be there, that's going to differ on the exact system or whatever. I will say, one of the tenets of neoliberalism is that we generally don't want government and the private sector having like that much involvement together, right? So because that does lead to opportunities for corruption. And I think you are seeing that now with Trump. We do see, for example, Trump taking stock in Intel or whatever, right? I would say even if we say that happened under a neoliberal system, that's not a neoliberal thing to do. And just generally, if we try to minimize the power the government has over markets, you're going to see those type of things happen less often, right? If the president didn't have the ability to levy tariffs unilaterally, we would not see the type of rent seeking with tariffs now, where Apple is giving Trump gifts to get around some of the tariffs that they have imposed.
Okay, so you're saying that neoliberalism, you would say, is as an abstraction, is separate from the kind of political systems. So like our as our like republic, democratic republic or whatever exists now, like the neoliberal functions or tools of our economic system you're viewing them as separate from the political system. And so like what would be different? Like would you say that we are like just we are currently in the neoliberal, or are you striving towards a particular kind of neoliberal? And what?
Right. So
help me discern here maybe a bit more.
Yeah, I think neoliberalism is broad to the point that it's not even necessarily a useful term all the time.
Debate 101.
I say neoliberalism.
There's not even a pill to take. Debate over.
Exactly. Well, so this is the reason we take the pill. Okay, the reason you take the neoliberal pill is because people use neoliberal as a derogatory. Okay, so you can reclaim it by starting to use the term. Okay, that's really that's the reason we take it. Okay, so
if that's
like holistically, like
real quick, if that's the argument, if I say anything about, if I even mention the word capitalism in a less than like if I'm not like glazing it, then I get called a communist. So should I take the communist pill by that logic?
I mean, you do brand yourself as a leftist sometimes. That's it's a good troll sometimes. Obviously there are people who call me communist, socialist, whatever half the time. So I do. Obviously, we can meme about that sometimes.
Okay, sorry, I just had to turn on streamer mode. So I think I lost you for a second, but we should be good.
Sure. I listen. If I'm talking to Fabian Liberty, I don't know if you know who that is. Like, I'll meme about being a socialist. Okay, I mean, he unironically calls me a socialist. So
yeah, okay.
There's a use for that, but. I guess I would say I think I would say America's like holistically neoliberal. Like I would say I do think there is a political component to neoliberalism. Like I think if you look it up, it probably says political economic system or whatever. But I think I think there's a lot of flexibility in like how neoliberal states organize themselves. I just think. I just think like the core tenet is kind of the state whatever function it has, it should be democratic, should be respect individual rights. I don't believe rights are intrinsic, but I do believe they're instrumentally valuable. And then C, and that kind of falls under the individual rights thing is not interfere in markets that often. We should have a free market system. We should have a more laissez-faire institutions in place.
Okay, so with that more laissez-faire, like how do you prevent or even how do you limit extreme consolidation of wealth and power that seems to be? I mean, we do see this divide between the rich and the poor getting wider and wider, and that seems like a recipe for animosity, and it sets up the stage for fake populists like Trump to kind of convince people that he's gonna come in and save the day, right? So what do you propose for dealing with situations like that?
So a few things. So for one, I don't believe, I don't know if you believe this necessarily, that inequality is intrinsically important, right? I do think there can just be overall gains from having an unequal society still. And I think, I don't think it's intrinsically important. Instrumentally, I believe it can be important in that it can have, bad effects still.
Yeah.
I think people overstate how bad the effects actually are. And I think people also tend to way overstate how unequal we actually are. So, I think when you look at a lot of the populist charts or whatever that a lot of like more left-leaning people will bring up or whatever. Usually, a lot of this work on inequality that's like popular in the media or whatever are from people like Emmanuel Saez, Thomas Piketty, Gabriel Zuckman.
You sound like
those are like the
names.
three most common, like either. Well, I think they're all European, right? So that basically are made up, right? So those are the three people most commonly cited, and I think they make a number of errors in what they do. I think if you look at better data, there's people like David Splinter, there's people like Austin. I forget his first name. His last name is like Austin.
I'm listening.
And I think you see, sure, goddamn, unbelievable.
No, I
I think you might be able to hear me.
Letting Umbreon
okay, good.
run out into the hall because he's crying. So okay.
Wow, abuser, real.
Had to kick him out of the house.
So I think income inequality, which there are different ways you can measure it, but just like post-tax income inequality, simply has it's barely increased. I can tell you some papers on that if you really want to look at it. I think you have seen to some extent the pre-tax income inequality go up, but I think people way underestimate the extent to which the U.S. does a okay job at taxing the rich and like redistributing to the poor. If you look at like just the share of income given to like each quintile, that's been relatively flat over time. If you look at the post-tax Gini coefficient, which is a different way of measuring inequality, that's been relatively flat over time because we give so many benefits. We give a lot more benefits now to people in the lower classes than we did like in the 60s, right? Like I'm forgetting the exact statistic. I can pull it up, but it's like we give out more in benefits to the lower classes now than like our entire GDP was in like 1960. Like it is crazy. We do redistribute quite a bit of income in this country, and we do decently heavily tax a lot of rich people. Now I want to do it in a more efficient way, and we'll get there. With regards to wealth inequality, I think also once you properly account for government benefits like Social Security, for instance, that's expected future income for essentially everyone. That is a claim that everyone has on future income. That is, once you account for that, wealth inequality has just essentially like flat out like not gone up in America. Like relative wealth shares have been pretty stable in the U.S. So that's number one. Now, like I said, I do agree that instrumentally inequality can be important, and like there can be gains from redistribution. So like very fundamentally, like there are. There is just diminishing returns to the dollar. Like obviously, like if $10,000 to Jeff Bezos means literally nothing, but $10,000 to a homeless person means a whole lot more. So there can be gains from redistribution. I would just say the sort of neoliberal means to redistribution is going to be what I think is a much more efficient tax code based on what we think is economically efficient compared to a more like left-leaning socialist means to redistribution, which typically it's either they either do pre-distribution and say like we're just gonna have unions and they're gonna negotiate wages, or we're just gonna like cap CEO pay, which I think things like that are all bad. Or when they do redistribution, it's typically they typically advocate for a lot less efficient taxes than I would advocate for.
Why are those things bad? I'm not necessarily like attached to those things, but I don't know why. Like I've heard a lot of people say that I guess I feel like I don't love the idea of like limiting how much someone can make, but then I also don't know. I don't know if I'm like fundamentally against it. Why is something like that bad? Or why? What's your? You also mentioned unions there. I again, like at least at a vibes based approach, I tend to like. I know they're not perfect, but I tend to feel like a union is generally a good thing if you have a company that is taking advantages in some way of their workers. Then workers can get together and say, hey, we don't like this, like, and that seems like a good system, even if it doesn't always work in great ways, or doesn't always like fit snugly into like the economic paradigm, or I guess I don't know. Why are those things not good solutions?
Right. So I think with regard to like capping income or whatever, I mean, there's a reason people are very highly compensated. Well, first of all, I should start with I do think people like overstate this stuff as well. So you see like, oh, CEO pay is like 4 bajillion times the median worker or whatever. The median CEO actually only gets like $258,000 a year. What people usually cite when they overstate it is how much CEOs are paid at like the biggest 350 biggest publicly traded companies, and those are massive companies. They're gonna pay their CEOs a lot because their CEOs are incredibly valuable. Like people will say, I'm sure people are going to do this in my chat and your chat. Okay, they'll call me a bootlicker. Okay, I don't care. There's no good reason to believe firms would compensate CEOs like beyond what they're worth, at least not persistently. I don't see good evidence for that. And in fact, I see evidence of the opposite. So, when we look at when, like, for example, CEOs are hospitalized or when CEOs die unexpectedly, we can see the performance of those firms goes down like a lot, 2 years from then when their CEO dies or whatever, a lot of those firms are a lot less productive than their peers where their CEOs didn't die or whatever. And B, you can measure the effect on their stock prices, and the effect on the stock prices you can use to essentially estimate how much value that CEO gave to the company. What you find is that CEOs actually probably earn less of what their marginal product is than the average worker. So your marginal product is essentially just the revenue that you contribute to the company by being there, right? The average worker probably gets about 85% of their marginal product, right? The stuff they don't get, some of that might be due to monopsony power. Most of it's probably just due to things like the company has to train you. There's a cost in training you, so they don't pay you like literally 100% of the revenue because some of that revenue, marginal revenue that you attribute essentially goes into paying for your training. CEOs probably only get like 68 to like 73%, I think is the number, of their marginal revenue product, right? So you can imagine, like, if we essentially tell firms, like, you cannot pay people what they like arguably are worth, one, a lot of top firms are just going to have a harder time attracting talent, right? They're going to have a harder time finding a good CEO that manages their company well and that makes their company overall more productive, right? And that has like just broad spillover benefits for everyone, right? Like, not, if Amazon was a lot less productive, prices would be higher for everyone. People wouldn't have 2-day shipping, right? Like, there are just broad spillover benefits from that. Two, there's a study on this from China. When they capped CEO compensation at like some of their state-owned enterprises, not only do you see like firm profitability decrease, because CEOs just start consuming, they start essentially consuming perks from the company, right? Because their compensation in terms of like pay and stock is capped or whatever, but they can start using the company jet more and things like that. That draws resources away from the company. That makes the firms a lot less efficient. So I think that's the basic argument against CEO pay. And with regards to like unions, I think unions are good for a lot of people who are in them. I think they're not always great for everyone else. So I think like I mean, so for one, we might just be broadly concerned, like, if they raise wages, that's going to decrease total employment, because you're telling companies you have to charge, or you have to pay us at least as much to hire people. They could hire less people. There's at least some evidence for that. And I think a lot of the damage from unions is typically due to things like, I guess, like what I would call rent seeking, right? Like, I think we just saw, like, in New York, like, unions don't want self-driving cars in New York. They're only going to let 8 cars in the whole city, and those cars are all going to have a driver behind the wheel, even though they're not doing anything. So, like, that's just a broadly, like, inefficient thing that unions are.
Sorry, my dog got attacked. Uh-oh, you're frozen for me this time. Oh, he's frozen for us, guys. Oh, I'm frozen. Am I frozen for you all? Okay, wait, we're back.
Oh. Yeah, you're back. Hell yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, my dog was getting attacked by a cat. Is there still like a major delay? Oh no.
Oh shit, I think there is a pretty major delay.
Uh-oh, okay. Let me see what we can do here. Do you wanna can I send you a StreamYard link?
Sure, that works, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Give me a second. All right, guys, we're gonna bring non-fawn in. What do we think about the conversation so far? Are we getting neolib pilled? It seems like you guys are very resistant. I'm also not convinced. I don't think he's dumb. I think he's a smart guy. All right, we got him. The neoliberal himself.
Hell yeah! All right, should be good now. You can hear me right and stuff, right?
I sure can.
Okay. What is how much the last stuff did you of the things I said did you hear?
I totally lost my train of thought while I was saving my dog from being attacked by the cat, and then everything kind of fell out of my head.
Right. I mean, I guess like my broad points were like I remember saying like unions are, I think, good for people who are in them, but like, you know, generally you do see activities engaged in like rent seeking that like hurt everyone else. We might be concerned that they, you know, lower overall employment if they, you know, demand too much in wages or whatever. We might be concerned that they are just going to decrease the amount of investment in that industry because companies are going to have to pay more. That, you know, might have a sort of more long-term negative effect on productivity. You can find evidence that unions increase productivity, at least in the short term, because they, you know, make workers happier or whatever, efficiency, wages, that type of model. And with CEO pay caps, essentially, you're just going to make companies. Sure.
I guess on that note, like, yeah, unions might have that effect, but like, is that really like an argument against unions, or is it like a, hey, this is a problem that unions present to, like outside of their, like, because I mean unions, like their goal isn't to, they're not focused on all those things that you brought up, right? Like definitionally, like those aren't their concerns. Their concerns are their relationship to their company. In the same way that like some private company owner doesn't care about all those other things either, except for in the ways that they directly impact him. So I don't. Yeah, do you want to explore that a little bit? What do you think about what I said there?
Yeah. So, like generally, I mean, one of the interesting things about unions, obviously, is like unions are a thing that can exist in a neoliberal society, and like, you know, they're a thing that's to something that are always going to exist. You know, that's unions are just people like voluntarily, or that at least can be voluntarily, like choosing to join the union and negotiate with their employer, right? Like that's nothing fundamentally is like super anti-neoliberal there. I think I just think like part of the issue with like promoting unions, which I don't think the US does a ton of right now, but you know, part of the issues with promoting unions are that they have these negative effects on other people. So like when it comes to like, you know, what should the US government do, or just like what is a good thing to do at any point, I'm concerned about sort of the overall impact on everybody, right? So like, you know, some people would gain from union protection, most of the people in the unions, but I do also care about, you know, are consumers paying higher prices? Is society overall just less productive and going to grow slower if, you know, we see all of these unions negotiate wages up to the point where no one wants to invest in that industry? I think like those are problems that union presents, and because of those problems, you know, I think I don't think there's a good case for like super strongly promoting unions.
Okay. I feel like, again, I guess the reason I advocate for unions, or the reason I think I support unions, is it's more like because I want people who are, you know, spending their lives committed to some company to have more voice in that, like within that relationship. So like I guess I recognize that there are all these externalities, but like I don't know why that should necessarily concern the people in unions. Maybe that's, I don't know if you just answered me on that. That's still my issue, I guess.
Well, I don't think it's so. You know, I think like I don't know how I'm gonna I wouldn't say like the individuals in a union necessarily. Well, actually, I think they should care, but you know, I recognize, you know, they are advocating for what's in their best interest. I just think like, you know, what's best for society overall is what we should do. So, I think like obviously a lot of like any policy is going to have winners and losers. Essentially, the winners from a super strong pro-union policy are going to be some workers within unions. A lot of the losers are going to be people who maybe would have been hired without the union, and consumers who might have to pay higher prices, and capital who are now have to pay higher wages. Now, a lot of people intuitively find that to be a very good thing. I don't think it's always a good thing. So I think that's just I think the overall effect is what matters from a policy perspective, essentially. I don't know how much I would put blame on like individuals within unions to consider the decrease in investment that's going to happen if they unionize.
What would like an ideal union policy look like from the neoliberal downstream from the neoliberal ivory tower?
Right. So I mean, with unions, I don't know the exact policy that I would want with unions, because I think a lot of the issues that I think unions seek to address, I think can just be addressed a lot better with what I would say are redistributive policies rather than redistributive ones, with an efficient tax code, with an efficient welfare state. And I think
Psycho dog. Okay. Roommate
I think we've kind of I think we've maybe put ourselves in a weird position with unions because we already have so many like regulations on the book about them. Like it seems, intuitively it seems weird, like crazy to me to just say like, oh, get rid of fucking all of that. Don't have the government involved in unions at all. Don't let the government, approve or disapprove unions and everything like that. But I don't know, like I guess like this is semi-related to unions. Like one thing I definitely don't want is like, I don't want the government to be mandated to hire union labor in most cases, right? I think that's part of the reason why a lot of things are expensive. Why New York subways are so expensive. It's because, it's part of the reason, not the whole reason, obviously, is because they have to hire union labor that's more expensive. I don't like that. I probably don't like some of the, like I'm not convinced that like right to work laws are that bad of a thing. They might I think there's evidence that they have at least some pro-growth effects. So I think I think we should just adopt a policy of essentially not mandating government hire unions, or mandating or giving the unions like special treatment with regards to certain contracts. And I don't think that we should require people to join unions when they accept a job somewhere. I think those two things are probably the reforms I would make, but I might might go further if I read more.
I guess to pull back a little bit, it feels like a lot of stuff that we're maybe I'm not as far left as I feel I am, or maybe you're further left than you feel you are. So because it feels like a lot of, I mean, we might like it feels like a lot of the stuff we're talking about here is like pretty compatible within like both of our it seems like we both want like better, more efficient tax systems. The rich pay more. We want to solve probably a lot of the same problems. Like I assume in terms of like
but I think
go ahead.
So I think we're gonna have radically different views on what an efficient tax code looks like.
Maybe. I mean, I don't have like I don't have one I'm particularly attached to. Like what is yours? Like I mean, like progressive taxation in general. Like a progressive tax bracket. I like the idea of that.
I don't think progressive taxation is not neoliberal. So I do want a progressive tax system, but like I would say, I don't think we should have a capital gains tax. Okay, I don't think we should be taxing investment essentially at all, right? I don't think we should have a wealth tax. I don't think that we should have essentially even income tax. I don't like. I would essentially advocate for either like a I'm not 100% sold on which one of these is better. So one, you could either have just a progressive consumption tax. So we could have close to what we have with the income tax now, but instead of but you're only taxed on what you actually consume every year. So you would just be able to deduct all your savings, right? And the same way you can deduct your 401k now up to a certain limit or whatever. You just, any money you save, that's deductible. You only pay taxes on what you actually consume every year. And you can have that still with like progressive marginal rates. In that system, we wouldn't have any capital gains tax. We wouldn't have the income tax. We'd only have that at least for individuals, we'd only have that consumption tax. You could also just do like a flat consumption tax essentially, and you could do something like a VAT or a we might this would probably take a little bit to explain, but you can do a DBCFT, which is pretty similar to a VAT plus a wage subsidy, but and then just have progressive benefits essentially, where we could essentially, doll out progressive benefits. I don't think it matters like whether or not you have a flat tax and progressive benefits, or if you have progressive taxes and like flat benefits. Either way, you can get to a sort of like net progressive system. The tax code I would advocate for would just be much more simplified. There'd only be a few taxes. There wouldn't be like many deductions for people, and it wouldn't tax savings or investment essentially at all. And obviously those are things disproportionately done by the rich. So some people don't like that part.
So what do you think? What's like? Can you like steelman like the progressives who would advocate for some of those things, and maybe give me your takedown of why you think that they're wrong to push for those?
It depends. So I think so there are different types of people. So one, you could just say, and Econoboy still advocates for progressive taxes, but like Econoboy would say like inequality is just like intrinsically important. Like that's just intrinsically morally valuable. We should not tolerate inequality if we don't have to. I would rather a society with 10 overall utility where one person has like 5 utility, the other person has 5 utility as well. The society with 11 overall utility, but one person has 12 utility and one person has negative 1 utility, right? And a lot of people find that intuitive. I can explain why I don't think that's valid, but you can just hold that this is a thing that we should care about, and sort of as long as the consequences from a wealth tax like aren't too bad, it is just a really good thing to do a wealth tax if it reduces inequality.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. The whole utils. I've always found the whole utils are, maybe I just haven't like read the theory, but I've always found it very odd way to describe human experience in terms of utils. But I mean, I'm sure that I could be sold on certain framings of it. But okay, so you're saying
right,
like a Econoboy.
I'm using that's at least one steel man, but
sure, a steel man, yeah, sure.
I'm just using utils as like an example of like someone who's an egalitarian would hold that like insofar as utils are a useful concept, like we should value utils being equally distributed to some extent, versus me as a based, incredible, truth-pilled utilitarian. I would just hold that whatever maximizes total utility is the preferable system.
Yeah, I like that sentence. Like, I feel like the sentence like maximize total utility, like that feels like like a nothing statement to me. Like, I feel like that feels like very vapid.
Well, I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to hold that to be a neoliberal or whatever. But I don't know. Like, if you want to get more into philosophy, we can. But like, just like broadly, like I just care about positive experiences or whatever. Like everyone, presumably, unless you're P-zombies, okay, has a subjective experience, and there are some experiences that are positive, some are negative. It may be difficult to like literally like actually quantify like the number of utils of them, but I do think there is like a fact of the matter about like whether someone's subjective experience in the moment or whatever is positive or negative. And those are things that we can infer from evidence about from our own experience and from how we see people. If I see someone crying or whatever, I can infer that they're having a negative experience, and you can use that to try to estimate roughly how many utils someone has, or just know sort of there's a term for it. No, like what order at least like people are experiencing happiness or like suffering in. Like I might not be able to say this person has 10 utils, this person has 5, but I can say this person is probably happier than that person, right? So I think that's yeah.
Okay, so I guess on with that in mind, like what views do you think, I guess based on the conversation we've had so far, like what do you think that what would taking the neolib pill even look like for me? Like what am I already a neolib? Am I already there? Or am I off the, am I okay? So yeah, what would it look like, and why should I do it?
Okay, so it would be you should do it because the evidence supports it. Okay, I think it would look like one just like a more according to the truth. Okay, a pretty heavy presumption in favor of markets, right? a pretty, skepticism of government in general, and of, what I would say pre-distributed policies like capping pay, like unions, like things like that. Skepticism of, I guess I shouldn't say skepticism of non-efficient taxes, but supporting a more efficient tax code in the sense that, like, an economically efficient tax code, trying to minimize the deadweight loss that taxes cause. So it would look like, for instance, like, not necessarily. I mean, you mentioned this early on, like, even like, single payer healthcare, right? I think that's something that, if you take the neolib pill, okay, you're gonna be pretty skeptical of single payer healthcare. Whereas if you're more left leaning, you're probably not going to be that skeptical of single payer healthcare. You're probably gonna.
I'm not. The only reason that I lean towards like single payer healthcare is if I value people having access to healthcare without like going into crippling debt and stuff like that. Like my understanding is that single payer healthcare is a better way for that to happen. For at least here in America, it seems to work better in other countries. My understanding. It's like, if it didn't do that, then I wouldn't want it, right? Like I'm not attached to it just because it is because of the idea of single payer healthcare. It's because I want more people to have. So can you argue that the neolib pill will help me get more people healthcare, or without going into crippling debt, or is that a sacrifice we have to make for the altar of neoliberalism?
No, I think I think the value of markets is like instrumental. So like, I mean, you mentioned people are like dogmatic regarding markets. I think some people definitely are. I think some neoliberals definitely are even. But I think the argument broadly is just, the quality of healthcare matters, right? The amount of innovation that happens in healthcare matters. I think costs overall might be reduced by single payer or whatever, but certainly cost matters as well. And like, there are going to be trade-offs between these things, but like, just generally speaking, I think a single payer healthcare, especially in America, where most of the medical innovation is, would destroy a lot of the incentives for innovating in medicine. There seems to be like some evidence of, when you do things like when Medicaid negotiates down the price of drugs or whatever, that does decrease medical innovation to some extent. And that is going to lead in the future to people not getting healthcare that otherwise could have existed. Right. I think I think you're going to see, you could see like declines in quality or increased wait times, which is kind of a type of decline in quality. America, like, for all its faults with healthcare or whatever, like, we get really good drugs. We consume more drugs per capita, and we get drugs sooner, right? That's something like a lot of these European countries don't have as advanced drugs as we do, at least not as soon. And under a single payer system, like, I think you would again destroy some of those incentives. That wouldn't necessarily happen under a single payer system. So there'd be less people getting.
Do you mean reduce?
I could be. I might be a little harsh, but the issue is, I think, I don't think you would 100% destroy it, but I do believe America essentially subsidizes a lot of the medical research for the rest of the world. So if America were to move to a single payer system, I think you would see a pretty big decrease in medical innovation if the single payer system negotiated prices down to like European levels. Like, I think you would see a lower, a European level or lower of medical innovation in the US, and that would be like pretty dramatic.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and that might be true. So I'm wondering, I'm trying to, like, what it kind of sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, and which I very well could be. I'm often wrong. And I'll only admit that here. I'm never wrong if I'm on like one of Sarah's panels or something. You're talking to anyone.
That's true. Well, you're never wrong if you're talking to a conservative. Okay,
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Liberals can disagree, but
yeah, or those left of liberal as well.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. Like, I can explain a little bit more about why I say that phrase. But it kind of feels. I think this is a perception that's probably shared with other people who have my more like leftist sympathies, is that like, even if everything you just said is true, which I have no reason to believe it's not, it kind of seems like, okay, well, there are people right now who are having a harder time getting healthcare or getting insurance to cover their healthcare in the hope that we will have better healthcare options in the future. Is that kind of a fair description?
So,
Like, yeah,
I think
because I agree. Like the U.S. has like if you have money, like the U.S. has the best healthcare, like hands down, is my understanding. Like,
yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that's true. Like, if you look at, the people who actually get healthcare in the U.S., do really well. Like, we have way better like stroke survivability, heart attack survivability. We also have more heart attacks to begin with, but than most European countries do, right? It's just like access is a big problem. So, I think again, it's going to come down to like, like I do think most neoliberals probably share a lot of the same goals as more left-leaning people. Like, I want everyone to have healthcare, right? Now, I might not share the same goals with regards to some of the redistribution, right? Because, like I said earlier, like some people just believe that like redistribution is like intrinsically good or whatever. It's just going to come down to essentially like how do you weigh some of the trade-offs, and how what is essentially the best system for getting everyone healthcare, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are neoliberal, if you're just like generally skeptical of the government's ability to do most things, you're going to be pretty skeptical of single payer, right? And you're going to say, well, what are some other options for getting people healthcare? So depending on like some like people higher probably classify as like libertarians, like might just say like literally just give people money. Like, we don't even need the government to have fucking an insurance company or whatever. Like, just give people money and they'll buy their own healthcare, let them compete on a market or whatever. I think that's I don't think that's probably the ideal system. That might be better than single payer, honestly. But
maybe,
so if you're a neoliberal, you're probably just going to be in favor of a plan that has essentially as little government intervention as necessary to achieve the goal of getting people healthcare. And you're going to want to, like I said, essentially like work with market forces. So I think that, that would look like some type of public option. You probably would, you might, automatically enroll people onto the public option even, but like you wouldn't try to ban private healthcare. You wouldn't be doing price controls on drugs, right? You wouldn't be, necessarily like, I guess, like predatory pricing in a sense, like we're having the government like intentionally like setting prices for joining the public option lower than private companies. That way we can get more people on the public option. But like you would, I think you would have, in my ideal system, in a neoliberal system, you would still have like a government health insurance plan that would take at least the bottom 20% of people or whatever who might not be able to afford private insurance as easily. They would have a public healthcare plan. They would have access to healthcare. It would just be, I don't think it's susceptible to the same flaws as the single payer system, essentially.
Sure. This is just kind of a curiosity, so I'm not trying to like quiz you, but how familiar are you with like Bernie's like I know you like there's like the whole thing about him banning private health insurance. My understanding is it's only like redundant, but I don't know exactly what that means in practice. Like his banning of redundant health insurance. Are you more familiar with that?
Yeah, I think. Am I what? Sorry.
Are you familiar with like I don't know? Do you know the details of that?
Broadly, so like I mean, it's been I never like read the full plan exactly.
Sure.
But I'm probably familiar with a lot of this stuff that's in it. It was a single payer healthcare plan. It was, from my understanding, more generous than even a lot of European healthcare plans. Like, I was going to cover, eye and dental care, which a lot of European countries don't.
Would be nice.
A lot of European countries don't even have fucking single payer healthcare. They have like some type of managed competition model. And then, yeah, like you said, I think it was, it would ban most people's private insurance. It would not. I don't think it would totally ban it, like you said. But it would have a much more limited role for private insurance, and I think that's sure. That's what I know about it. I think most of it was pretty cringe.
Pretty cringe. Why do you think so many people thought it was a really good idea, and why are they so misguided?
I'm not okay, so the issue with so if you ask people should we insure, make sure everyone has healthcare, they all say yes. If you ask them, should we ban private insurance, a lot of them say no. If you ask them, are you happy with your own insurance, most people say yes.
Yeah, people
so I think just broadly, like if you there are a lot of like populist policies that poll decently well if you ask them in a very broad sense. I think once you get more
Sure.
detail, they poll less popularly. And I think if you just ask people like, are you happy in your current situation? A lot of them are. Like a lot of people like their employer provided insurance. A lot of people like their own private insurance that they pay for, right? I think some of it's the media environment, and especially with the internet nowadays, I think that just broadly makes populist policies more popular. I think some of it is like they just hear bad information, and the internet obviously amplifies that. Like I think the cost savings from single payer healthcare are typically pretty heavily overestimated for a number of reasons. So I think that gives people like some in sort of, I don't want to say intuitive, because I guess it is based on some evidence that they hear, but misguided sense that like single payer would be so much better. I think they get a lot of bad information about the quality of healthcare in Europe as well. They don't know like what that they have like lower quality drugs. They stay in hospitals less long or whatever. Like, I think they get. I think it's bad information amplified by, sort of the populist era that we're in.
So far, I don't feel like I've been neolib pilled, non-fawn, completely. I feel just as skeptical.
Well, I thought you would have.
In.
Well, I mean, so what are your like? I don't know. So I mean, I think you.
I don't know either. Maybe it's a failure of my own. Sorry, maybe it's a failure of my own. Like my own understanding of all the, because I already didn't have like a lot of strong attachments to any of these solutions. I guess maybe that's why I'm trying to phrase, or I'm trying to like find the words.
God damn it, Ryan! So you're always so heated on these panels. Okay, I thought you would have the most strong fucking.
Well, again, it's when I'm fighting with conservatives, it's a different thing. Like when I'm talking to you, I'm curious. Like I'm trying to understand more about these things.
Sure.
And I mean, I do that to some degree, believe it or not, conservatives who are listening right now. I do try to do that on those panels as well, but I feel like there's a very different dynamic happening in those spaces than what's happening right here.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel obligated to like, fight against these positions if I don't understand them well enough to so it's
sure.
But then I also see that there's a lot of people who like are at least are probably as well read as you and know a lot more about these things than me at least, and they don't seem to have they don't seem to agree on the the neoliberalism pill, and so that makes me wonder like,
no, I mean,
what's going on. I've got
well, I mean, yeah, I mean that's how I feel about a lot of things too. I see smart people disagreeing on things, and I'm like, how am I?
Yeah, we gotta fix it. We got. How
am I supposed to? Yeah, how am I supposed to fucking see this shit? I mean, or solve this shit. How am I supposed to develop an opinion on this? I'm not necessarily asking to have like super strong opinions on this stuff or anything. I think it's totally fine to not have these. I guess I mentioned earlier, like I think like even a lot of smart people make sort of I don't even necessarily want to call some of them errors, but they make assumptions that the general public like does not understand. So like the assumptions that like people like Emmanuel Saez and Piketty making their measures of like wealth inequality and stuff, that like some of those things are probably something that economists could reasonably defend. Like for example, they count health insurance premiums as a tax, and like that's something you can kind of defend because like if we had a socialist healthcare, like their arguments like, oh, like in every other country, healthcare premiums are a tax, right? And like the government could socialize healthcare. It makes sense to kind of the count healthcare premiums paid out of pocket by people like as a tax. That's something that, like, that's not necessarily an error, but it's definitely not something the public understands when they see the measures of wealth inequality that they put up. So I think there are a lot of people, even smart people, who see those estimates, take what they say seriously, and get wrong conclusions because of it. And I think there are, obviously smarter people like, those economists themselves who might understand some of the assumptions, but, I just don't find their defenses of them convincing. So I'm usually pretty skeptical of those things.
Fair enough. All right, let's move to the guardrails on a Trump under the neoliberal paradigm. What would you do? What kind of economic incentives could we do to prevent someone like Trump from? Because I think that's again one of these, like, a lot of my issue with this conversation, and this is a fault of mine, is a lot of my takes on this are very vibe based, and I don't know if that's definitely a weakness in some ways. I think it's also maybe a strength, but like it feels like a Trump character is really, like, in some sense, like the ultimate neoliberal, where, like, he's gonna use the systems at his disposal to do whatever to the best of his ability, like, and it seems like it's work. There just seem to be some guardrails holding, but I mean, now he's sending all the National Guard across. He's set first to DC, now it's going to Chicago. All these things. What does neoliberalism offer to deal with a character like Trump?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things I mentioned earlier, like, I do think, I bet if you Google neoliberalism and go to the fucking Wikipedia page, it probably mentions this. It does respect
economic
like
and
property
political
rights.
Ideology. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But I think it probably says, like, if you control F rights, I bet it says something about, like, just broadly, like, respecting rights. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I don't believe rights are, like, an intrinsic thing, like I think some neoliberals do. But I think broadly you should want the state to protect, like, under a neoliberal system, like, one of the tenets of it is the state should protect, the natural rights or whatever, freedom of speech, the freedom to own property, obviously for neoliberalism is a big one because, markets are, based on that property right system or whatever, but I think, kind of like I mentioned earlier, like, I think, the guardrails would depend on the political system. So, like, within the US, I don't know exactly what changes that would make, but there are any number of them that I would still, like, consider neoliberal, like anything that, like, is aimed at checking the government's power, could very well claim to be, like, a neoliberal reform or whatever. I think, like, I don't know how I would, like, do some of these things. Like, we need better protections for civil service. I don't know, like, how you could, like, do you do, like, a constitutional amendment to, like, prevent Schedule F appointments? Like, that seems like an unreasonable bar to clear. I don't know how you would protect civil service exactly. Congress probably needs to reform some of the laws to make it harder to fire people without cause, essentially. There's a reason Trump, can't fire the Fed chair. Maybe we need to look at doing that for other institutions as well. Although, in fairness, the Supreme Court has kind of said that the Federal Reserve is special and may not, unitary executive theory applies to everything except the Federal Reserve, apparently. So that's great. Really love that. Really love that happening. And like I mentioned earlier, I think another thing that neoliberals are more concerned about than other people, I think, is, like, regulatory capture, is rent seeking. It's just, like, generally, if we have the government intervening in markets, you're going to see companies try to abuse the system, right? Like, if we have tariffs, you're going to see companies either lobby for tariffs protecting their specific industry, or, try to get the tariffs that they don't like removed, by giving Trump a fucking gold plaque. And I think if you just limit the power of the government, you're going to see a lot, that happen a lot less. In the US, I don't know exactly what that would look like, but it would be better protection for civil service. It would be better checks and balances. We probably need if I could pass a constitutional amendment, okay, right now, it might just be like, hey, by the way, clause 1 of Article 2 that says under a unitary executive, that doesn't mean the president fucking controls everything. All right, like, I think that might be the constitutional amendment I pass. It'd just be the anti-unitary executive theory amendment, and I think that would do a lot to address our current problems. Yeah. But, I don't know what the optimal way to limit the power of
Yeah.
government is.
Solve Trump right now on the stream, or else. No, that's fair. What are some things that you think that, like, socialists and leftists and even the communists, like the people who you might those who okay, so I wanted to mention, this is a good opportunity to come back to my whole thing about being left of liberal.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
in a lot of ways I view I see a lot of really good things about liberalism that liberalism like claims to, like the individual like liberty and all that jazz. Like, I love liberty, I like that.
Yeah.
I want people to be able to do what brings them happiness in this one brief blip of existence that we get. And I feel like liberalism promises a lot of those things, but it doesn't necessarily deliver them in practicality. And so when I feel like what tugs me to the left of liberalism is that I'm not so attached to liberalism that I wouldn't be open to systems that might be able to do that better.
Sure.
So and I think that so real quick, I think what like draws a lot of people, I think, to socialism, communism, etc., is that they view, for good or bad reasons, they view those as expanding that liberal principle of like freedom and of a good human experience that's not doesn't have a lot of like hierarchical control over different people. And so I feel like when people paint like leftists as illiberal, this phrase of the left is illiberal, I don't know how you feel about that statement, but I find that frustrating, because the things about liberalism that I like, I feel I'm tugged to the left because liberalism doesn't fully meet those things that it's supposed to.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like, this has been that's been the broad critique of liberalism for a while, as it fails to deliver on, like, a lot of the rights it wants to protect or whatever. And like, I do, I mean, what's funny here is that, like, I, as a liberal, argue all the time against other people who are considering themselves more truly liberal, more classically liberal, about like the I've mentioned it a few times, but like, the importance of rights, like whether or not like it is like morally acceptable for the government to tax away income and redistribute it, or whether I have like a personal right to my fucking property and the government can't do shit to fucking touch it, right? So I think, like, I don't believe these sort of like negative rights that we talk about are intrinsically important. And I am concerned with sort of maximizing like the positive freedom that like liberalism is supposed to deliver on, right? And I think some of it might just be like a factual disagreement about how much liberalism does deliver on that, because I think people have a lot of misconceptions about, the middle class is shrinking and everyone is fucking poor and everyone's working paycheck to paycheck now and everyone has two jobs. And I just don't think a lot of that's true. Maybe we can get in that. I don't know how much stuff I just said you believe or whatever, but
I'm sympathetic.
So it's just gonna be that factual disagreement.
But I've heard people give arguments against them, but I'm of mixed opinions.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
It's certainly true for a lot of people, regardless of, I mean, right.
I mean, I think it's
like a substantial amount of people probably who are living paycheck to paycheck.
How many people? What percent of people do you think are like living paycheck to paycheck?
I have no clue. I don't even want to put a number on it.
I mean, I don't think it's a. I don't think it's a very particularly like useful term to begin with, because what is that?
Sure.
What is that? Like, if I make $300,000 a year and I choose to live in a big house, well, homes are expensive now. That's another thing. But if I choose to live in a big house, if I choose to have a fancy car, and am I like living paycheck to paycheck if I choose to consume a lot of money, even if I make a lot of money, and like if I miss a paycheck, I default to my car payment for my Lamborghini, like it that's why a lot of the surveys that you look at find like people working paycheck to paycheck are like actually like disproportionately rich. It's funny. I don't think the evidence after that are very good.
I feel like that's got to be like the minority of the people who are classified as paycheck to paycheck. Like, I can't imagine that like
it depends.
Like a substantial amount of the people who are classified as such are like because they're spending too much on their Lamborghinis every month, right? Like that's got to be like the exception to the rule.
It depends what survey you're looking at. I believe there was. So one of the issues with paycheck to paycheck is that like it's not a thing that any official government institution is classifying. It's a thing that mostly private sector companies run surveys on, and a lot of those surveys are used for marketing purposes. They say, oh, look at how many people are working at paycheck to paycheck. This means that you investors should invest in our credit card company, right? Like, so that way we know there's demand for credit cards because of how many people are working paycheck to paycheck or whatever. I believe there is actually one, if I can find it. I don't know how we're able to find this. I believe there actually is one survey where I don't think it was the majority, but it was it was like, I think it was over 30% of people who were like living paycheck to paycheck were making over $200,000. It was I can see if I can find it, but it was wild.
That does sound wild.
But that comes from
I find that kind of hard
the
to
ambiguity
digest. So this is like an AI overview from Google. Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, sure. Sure. I was going to say, I think that ambiguity is there because the term paycheck to paycheck is not a very meaningful term to me. So.
Yeah, sure. So I'm looking at this AI overview from Google. I just typed percent of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, and there's the recent data from 2024-2025 says from 58 to 65 in self-reported surveys, with some analysis based on actual spending habits indicating around 30% of households live this way by necessity. So I feel like that's like so you're saying that, like, I guess that's maybe what you're pointing to, is that the majority are not or they're not living that way by necessity. They are perhaps like living outside their the means that they need to be, like they're making enough income that if, with like some better spending decisions, they could not be in that, they could be outside of that. Is that kind of what you're
kind of? Well, I mean, I think the bigger point is just that, like, usually I think the term paycheck to paycheck is ambiguous, which is why it's kind of hard to say like whether like should we classify people who are making that much income and choosing to spend a lot of it as paycheck to paycheck, or like is that misleading or whatever. And then two, the sort of methodology of these surveys is not like what I would like what I would like to see. Like paycheck to paycheck is going to have a different meaning to everyone. People are, it's not going to be like a very solid methodology to interview 1,000 people and ask if they're living paycheck to paycheck. It's better just to rely on data that the Federal Reserve collects. And that data shows that like 54% of Americans, I think, like have 3 months of emergency savings saved up, or that's 54% of adults. And it's like, I think it's even more have or no, I think the median American has like $8,000 in transaction accounts, so like pretty much immediately accessible, like checkings or savings accounts. So like, I don't think we should really be classifying those people as living paycheck to paycheck. And I think some of those surveys are going to do that.
Yeah, there was a at the end of that paragraph, they mentioned that they're the more objective measure of classifying like people who spend over 95% of their income on essentials like food and housing, which sounds like a more interesting metric to me as well. And so again, this is AI overview, so it's got a grain of salt, but it says approximately 25% of U.S. households spend more than 95% of their monthly income on essentials, such as housing, food, or other necessary expenses. So that's still pretty substantial, right? Like a quarter of American households spending 95% of their monthly income on just essentials.
I mean, I'd be curious what the source of that is. So I might not necessarily disbelieve that if it's including people who essentially aren't working, right? Like if you're living, if you're disabled and you're living and the government gives you welfare payments, like I would assume that to be the case, right? Like the government is probably only giving you a pretty low amount of money to be able to survive. So like if you're including people who sort of don't receive normal market income because they're disabled or because they're elderly, maybe that could totally be the case, that the government benefits that you do get, 95% of that goes to your sort of immediate needs. I can see that being the case. I just think that that's kind of what we would expect of the bottom 20% in sort of most societies. And like, I would advocate for more efficient welfare mechanisms, but that's a different, we can get into that as well. But
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, so I mean, yeah, the number I have is at least like from a Lending Club survey. You know, it was I don't know if that's one you're citing. You know, 4 out of 10 households earning like over 100K a year were still saying like they were living paycheck to paycheck, and like, you know, maybe some of those people live in a very expensive city and like legitimately are struggling or whatever. But a lot of people make over 100K a year. You know, that's decently over like the median income in America. It seems silly to say most of them are, or 40% of them are really struggling in the way that paycheck to paycheck means to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I definitely agree that there, if like those people, I feel like I wouldn't want to include those people. And I've actually been, I was in that position at one point where I was like making over 100K, sure. And, you know, I'm arguably paycheck to paycheck, like under some, under some definition, but I can't imagine that there must be like surveys that measure stuff like that wouldn't have included me in that situation.
Probably, but like I said, I care more about I think it's less ambiguous to look at data from the Federal Reserve, which like has larger sample sizes, usually has a better methodology. They're not used for like marketing purposes for private companies, and you know, I think, you know, they identify a better view of the sort of, you know, wealth of the median American. You know, like I said, 54% have 3 months of savings, and the median American is 8K in transaction accounts. And that median, you probably know this, but median is not necessarily distorted by like outliers at the very top, right?
Sure.
So I think that like one question. So
yeah, go ahead.
I do want to ask. I think we're probably we're gonna agree here. So like, I do think like poverty is a problem. I don't think we should have poverty.
You're taking a stance against poverty, just to be clear. Non-Fon is not endorsing poverty. Just to be clear,
Non-Fon is anti-poverty. Cringe.
Thank you.
No good. No bueno. Okay.
Putting that on the record.
I think like if you have the neoliberal view, okay, your ideal welfare system probably includes a lot more cash benefits than we have now. So like, you know, right now we have a lot of means tested programs that have waste on the government side of trying to, you know, keep track of everyone's income and then make sure that you take away benefits, okay, when they earn above a certain amount or whatever. And, you know, they're giving income that's, you know, they give fucking SNAP cards to people, and that he's anti-for people. I do want to cut the, yeah, this is true.
Cut him in half.
Very true. Very true. Accurate. Obviously, you know, you know, the SNAP system, like, you know, that requires a lot of administrative effort just to, you know, get the SNAP cards to work and everything. You know, it'd be better to have a lot of these like cash-like or cash-like benefits, like just be cash. Like we should just like transfer, like if you're fucking broke and you need food, the government should probably just like send you a check, or maybe the government should send everyone a check. We just have some type of UBI, and then for higher income people, you can just tax it back. We already essentially kind of do that because people do already pay taxes on some of their transfer income that they get. But you know, I think that's the sort of neoliberal pill on a welfare state. Will look a lot more like cash benefits, a decent number, like less public ownership, or these sort of administratively complex programs that sometimes people on the left support. There are people like, you know, Matt Brunig who are like pretty cash transfer pilled, yet they are like socialists. But yeah,
that's probably where I lean, because I've always understood, or you know, this is something I've interpreted, that like poor people tend to like spend their money on things they need when they have cash. Like they tend to buy the stuff that they would actually solve the problems in front of them. They tend to know what they what they need to take care of, and they like when they have cash to do that, they tend to spend it on that. So yeah, I feel like people, a lot of the left like seems to not like means testing, from the vibes that I gather. Yeah,
a lot of them don't like means testing. I think a lot of them are I think a lot of them think public ownership is a better solution to a lot of things. So, you know, generally I am just, you know, like Zoran is, you know, doing publicly owned grocery stores or whatever, right? Like,
how do you feel about that?
Seems so like, how do we, okay, listen, this is why Democrats hate me, okay? Democrats hate me, okay? If you give me a choice between Andrew Cuomo and Zoran, I just want to be clear, I'm probably picking Zoran, okay? I just want to be clear. Democrats overall, like, you know, I feel like there's so many, right, I hate it so much. there's so many like places where it's like my choices are like some progressive Democrat who's like young and will fight Trump, but also I just feel like has like bad cringe policy, and like fucking 80-year-old Democrat who's gonna die in office and has fucking sexually abused 10 people. And it's like, okay,
don't non-fun. Just to abstract a little bit, don't we need to pull the Overton window a little bit to the left right now? Isn't it reasonable to promote like a few Zorons when we have Trumps and Marjorie Taylor Greens and MAGA Mike Johnson's? Like, can't we pull it just a little bit?
Here's the issue,
right?
The issue is, I think, like they rely on the same type of economic populism, like like the middle class is doing so poorly, everyone is fucking falling behind. We need fucking tariffs to bring the manufacturing jobs back so we can afford a house on one income again. We need to deport all the immigrants so people could afford a house on one income again. Like, I think they're relying on a lot of the same, like,
exactly. But regardless of the reality of, like, it seems those are appealing to people because they feel that those problems exist, right? Like Trump was able to capitalize on that feeling that people have. I don't think he invented that feeling, right?
Well, I don't think he invented it, but I do think a lot of it is the media environment, and just like, I think a lot of it is vibes and not like the actual, not like the actual state of the economy or state of the middle class or whatever. Like, I do, like, there was a paper that came out recently that was like, that did find like the media, like, what media consumed did have like a relatively substantial effect on like how bad you viewed inflation, right? Like, even like from a personal perspective, it affects like how salient inflation is to you, whether or not you're watching Fox News, which complains about inflation a ton, or whether or not you're watching MSNBC, which says, hey, look, at least America's doing better than these other places, and like employment is really strong, even if we do have this inflation right now. So some of the feeling is the media environment. I don't know how to fucking fix that. But with regards to like the public owned grocery stores, so I think so. The like fundamentally populist economic messaging, I think number one is wrong, right? And that leads to bad policies like the public owned grocery stores. We have like this very populist messaging of like, all these fucking greedy corporations were price gouging, okay? The egg companies were price gouging. All the grocery stores are price gouging. All right, look at how much the fucking price of eggs went up. And then we say, because of that, we're gonna fucking have publicly owned grocery stores, and the government is gonna run these grocery stores for either a loss or at like zero profit, and we're gonna fucking fix everything. When I don't think the price gouging shit is happening. And I think even if this, if we need to address the issue of like food insecurity, transfer payments are a much better way to do that.
Don't think the price why did even like Kamala ran on like the anti-price gouging stuff with like why did the corporate Dems run on this if it's the neolib Dems, right? Like, I mean, Kamala's it would have been closer to the neolib.
Not neolib enough.
No, not neolib enough.
I could neolib Hiller. Okay, I could give me a conversation with Kamala Harris. Okay, Kamala Harris, come on a Shrimp Welfare Project stream. All right,
yes, Kamala Harris to the non-fun stream immediately. Please bring your coconuts.
We'll talk about DBCFT, VAT, and a fucking better welfare system and everything. But I mean, I think Kamala ran on it because it was popular. Like that, like it's populist messaging. Like, she's playing into the populist messaging. When she did that, I just don't think like the evidence supports it.
Interesting. What are a couple things that you wish, like people that are maybe like to my left even, what are some things, but who you think like have like similar values? Because I think I don't view you as an enemy of mine in any way, shape, or form. At least not right now.
You're waiting until fucking civil war. Okay, we'll be on different sides. Yeah, exactly.
Well, once we finish with the fascists, we can fight.
Exactly.
But like, what are some things that you wish people like me and people to my left would focus more on, and like things that we seem to be misguided about, that you have suggestions that we could improve our worldview with?
I wish you would read more economics blogs. Okay, that's the real thing. I don't know. Like I said, I think
make them more interesting. Make them more. Make them.
No,
Look, I'm an educator. Okay, I teach people how to code. Okay, and that's I'm biased because that's a fun thing to do. Like, it's fun to teach people how to code, and people have fun learning how to code. How do we make economics fun for people to learn? I think that's on you guys,
fun?
right?
Oh, that's a little
like that's you guys. Like,
true.
it might be fun for you, but most people don't seem to find it that fun to learn. We need you say people need to read economics blogs. Economics blogs are fucking boring, dude. You guys are dry. Like we need you guys to make them more engaging.
This is the issue. I feel like this is I think it's a fundamental uphill battle against like a lot of populist messaging. So, it is just like broadly appealing to people to like just say the fucking immigrants are the enemies, the fucking billionaires are your enemies. Okay, they're price gouging, they're blah 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 blah. They're so wealthy. They're all the immigrants are taking all your welfare, right? That's all just like broadly very intuitive. Like, it's intuitive to a lot of people. It's appealing. Like, I think people just have like an anti-market bias, generally speaking. And I think the best way, I think, a lot of more left-leaning people just don't have a good methodology for thinking through some of the, some of those things. Like, I think they start from a position of, so the sort of like billionaires are your enemy, and like, this is what billionaires are doing, and this is so evil. This is what corporations are doing. It's so evil. It doesn't seem like they're actually like looking at evidence and saying, oh, like this, this points me in the direction of billionaires being bad, right? It feels like they just have like very fundamental perceptions about how billionaires are doing, how the middle class is doing, and things like that.
So I don't think the billionaires are like what's the word, like inherently evil people. Like, I don't think people become billionaires because they're super evil. But I feel like they're the things that incentivize someone to become, or like billionaires are incentivized to do, like, and especially to stay billionaires, and like I feel like those sorts of things kind of lead them to do or behave in ways that might feel evil to the average person. Do you think?
Well, so I mean, to the average person, I might agree, just because I think I think like intuitively people, I think they have an anti-market bias. I think they, I don't think they understand some of the things that people might perceive as evil, as having like positive spillover benefits potentially. Like people don't see like, oh, when companies like, oh, we're going to offshore these jobs or whatever, they don't realize that probably means lower prices for everyone. And that means resources the company and our country generally were previously using to produce these goods are now going to go to other things that were presumably, more productive in. So, I think, not that that's, I don't know how often people, well, Trump might cite that as something evil billionaires do, offshoring jobs, but, I guess the average person, I might agree. I just don't think that I don't think most of it is actually evil. I think most of it is like generally positive. And I think the things that a lot of things people find evil are addressed by my system of a progressive consumption tax. Okay. So like, oh, why are you buying a fucking mega yacht when there are like homeless people or whatever? Well, a progressive consumption tax, okay, would tax that mega yacht. It would even tax that mega yacht if they used a loan to buy it, to try to avoid the current tax system that we have now.
See, I like that. I like that because that's kind of what I'm pointing when I say like they're insane. I mean, like, who doesn't? If you're a billionaire, who doesn't want to have a cool yacht, right? Like, but if you can afford a yacht, then like there's like, wow, there are homeless people in your city, in your country. It seems like creating some system that like taxes that purchase. Okay. Yeah. Good. Like large consumption tax.
So that's true. But also like just generally, I'm going to undercut what I just said. Okay. I do view growth as very important, right? I might even view growth as like at the current margin, like more important than a lot of redistribution. And I think generally, there is at least sometimes a trade-off between those two things. Now, I think a consumption tax minimizes it. Like you can imagine a tax on like capital gains, a tax on savings or whatever. An income tax probably does, lead to more equality if you tax rich people a lot more and redistribute it, but also causes a lot of distortion in that, people will choose to earn less. People will invest less if you reduce the after-tax return to investment. A consumption tax avoids that for the most part by simply not taxing investment. You're only taxing consumption. Now that will lead, potentially to billionaires who just choose to like save a fuck ton of money.
Yeah, just hoarding
and not spend it. They might have a ton
dragons
saved
living
in the
in
bank.
caves.
Right. But I think that, like I view like the activity that money is usually financing as just like broadly, like really good. Like obviously some of it, some of it is obviously going to be like in fucking bonds or whatever. But even that gives money to the government to let them do, whatever they're doing. But like, a lot of billionaires like finance, like, startup companies, right? And that, those, especially technology companies nowadays, just have benefits to fucking everyone. Everyone has a fucking smartphone. Everyone's using ChatGPT now. Like these are things
On that note,
probably
George Soros, if you're
really
watching,
beneficial. George Soros,
you owe me so much fucking money. I've been fighting in the trenches on your behalf for years, and please donate to Non-Fun as well as me, Soros and Soros Associates. Please do.
Let's go. Yeah. So, and I will also say, I think a lot of the gains that people attribute to redistribution are actually due to economic growth. Like I think a lot of the decline in working hours has less to do with like unions negotiating that, and like has to do with just the fact that economic growth allowed us to be more productive and only work 8 hours a day and still have a decent amount of output.
I feel like it's probably both, right? Like probably like the means to
do
that emerged, and then like the actual like because. I mean, if the companies could just make people work more, like they probably would, right? Like just like with minimum wages, like if companies could pay people less, they would, right? They're not
sure.
Like
well, so I mean, I agree, but like obviously, there's competition in the labor market, right? So like I agree, companies would pay people less and everything if they could, but that's mitigated by a neoliberal system where workers have multiple employers to go to, right? Like that might not always 100% be the case or whatever, but that's a general presumption that the market's going to do better at allocating labor than the government or whatever through its interference. I think, I agree. Like unions probably, it's not 100% economic growth that led to working hours decreasing, to some, like it was, I agree. Like, we got the ability to limit working hours to 8 hours a day because of economic growth, but to some extent it was unions who like lobbied for that to actually be like the law.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Now, even
people fought hard. I think that there might be some people who feel they hear a sentence like that, and even if you're talking about it on like a functional level, they think about all the people who were on the ground fighting for those things, and they're like, well, these people they were the ones really pushing to make this happen. Like, yes, the means were there because of these of like the economic or whatever, like technological advancements and stuff. But like that doesn't. I think people would feel frustrated by what they feel like is a minimizing of like the work of these like labor unions, at least. Like, do you think there's something to that?
Well,
like,
I mean,
people are reasonably frustrated.
I think people might be frustrated. I don't know if they're reasonably frustrated. I think they're wrong. I think the evidence shows that they're wrong. Okay. I think I have, I know I have papers on child labor. I don't know if I have papers on just working hours in general. I think a lot of the decline in child labor was also due to just economic growth and not necessarily laws preventing child labor. But I do believe the same applies to unions. I know I have a poll that says that most economists think that, and I presume that they're basing that on at least some evidence, but who knows?
So there might have been like a decline in child labor, right? Based on what you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
But there would still be more child labor than there is now if we didn't have those laws.
I agree. Like if we didn't ban it, like you would see, you would see some children still working or whatever. Which we can get into that. I know you mentioned there was exploitation around the globe earlier. Okay, if you want to talk about fucking how base.
Well, is there not? I mean, am I wrong? Have I been misled? Is there not exploitation around the globe? Like, or I don't know. Certainly, it feels like there's a lot of underdeveloped countries that are being kind of taking advantage of the United States, but maybe I've been tricked
I mean,
into believing this. Again, a lot of my stuff is vibes, so I don't know exactly all the market structures. But
there might be a kernel of truth, I think, but it was funny enough. I think the kernel of truth that might be there is usually because of government intervention, which is that, like, I think you could argue certain patent laws may benefit rich countries more than poor countries, right? Like, you know, we just like generally have stronger protection for patents and stuff, and that makes it harder for a lot of developing countries to, you know, get the medicine that they might need or whatever. Especially when they don't have a, you know, they might not even have a state capacity to enforce patents the way that we want them to if they want to trade with us. But I just think, like, generally the evidence shows that trade, for example, you know, is just like really good for growth for both countries, probably, especially, you know, on the margin, it probably actually helps developing countries more. And, you know, even things that we sort of have like a visceral reaction to, right? That just like intuitively feel bad. Like, oh, yeah, like we see these fucking children making labubus in China or whatever. Like, generally the other options for them are worse, right? Like, generally the other option is children growing, you know, rice for their families, right? And like, you know, families going to have a higher income. There's going to be more economic growth in general. That's going to eventually let child labor stop existing if children are making labubus for us rather than subsistence farming for their family, right? Like, that's you know, like, that's the broad case that, like, even intuitive things that we like might feel are exploitative typically are like net beneficial.
So we need to subsidize labubu production.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we should just have, you know, you don't need subsidies. You don't need to tariff the labubus. We just
okay. So do we keep tariffs on? I don't know what all tariffs are even in effect. I don't like. Did any of Trump's tariffs ever even end up going into effect? A lot of them did.
Oh yeah, quite a bit. So I mean, essentially, the only the Senate did stop him with regards to some tariffs on Canada, and Trump has voluntarily like withdrawn some of the tariffs. Right? Obviously, they've been on and off again. So like, I think you know, we essentially have 10% on basically all the world. There are some, so with Mexico and Canada, if the goods are like USMCA compliant, they're not tariffed. But the rest of the world, we like have at least 10% on. And then like for certain like we have I think we have 15% on the EU, we have 19% on Vietnam, we have 54% or something on China. Although to some extent, I think the actual effective tariff rate has been a little bit lower because it doesn't seem like they're actually able to collect on all of them. But yeah, we have a lot of tariffs in place right now. That's actually one of the you know, this is a funny argument. Well, it's funny to conservatives. It's not. I don't think it's that. You know, it shouldn't be funny to reasonable people. Okay, it's like, you know, it's just like, why are we placing tariffs in countries that are just like desperately poor? It's like, why, like, you know, let's say like everything you say about tariffs is right. Okay, Mr. MAGA. All right, they're gonna restore manufacturing. Right, we're gonna bring all these jobs back. Okay, you're telling me we're gonna take jobs from fucking like Sierra Leone, where people are making like $2. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like, you know, people are.
He's not joking, by the way.
I bet not. Yeah, you know, people are making like $2 a day in this desperately poor country, and we're gonna take away their job so someone in America who already has a decent quality of life is gonna do marginally better. Like really, like what are we doing here? Yeah. Even if do you know who do you know who Bethan's bulldog is?
No.
He's a cool ass blogger. Okay, he's the one that got me interested in the shrimp welfare project. All right, because he wrote a blog post a while ago. My friend shared to me talking about the shrimp welfare project.
I think I read a little bit of that. The shrimp.
Oh, I probably sent it to you when I did the
maybe
when I told you about this. Yeah, right. Yeah. He also has a boast about tariffs, making that point. He's like, even if tariffs were economically good for the U.S., they'd still be immoral because you're like, you know, essentially taxing a bunch of desperately poor countries in the third world to help to marginally help people in the U.S. Right? You know, that just seems like a silly thing to do.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no doubt.
So I guess
I don't know what else I really want to cover here. Maybe I don't know if we want to get to the end just yet, but when we do, before we do close out, we should just talk. We should, just as a palate cleanser, we can just talk a little bit about your fantastic taste in music. Because I see your Spotify and I see like listen to the Front Bottoms like 69 times this past week and shit like that, and I'm like yes.
Oh man,
there is hope for the youth
Spotify,
yet. I love the Front Bottoms. We talked about modern baseball a little bit. I
was gonna say, I think like the first message you sent to me was you saying like modern baseball's babes. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, you said
I've always I listened to modern baseball before their second album, like back when Sports was the only album they had out. Like I was listening to modern baseball. I was one of the only people listening to modern baseball, and then they like went on tour with the Wonder Years and shit, and they blew up, and the rest is history. So I'm a hipster.
Such a onk. Okay, such an onk, as the youth say. All right, unbelievable.
I am.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That.
I'm glad someone gets it. Okay, someone gets it. People usually, well, some people do. A lot of people don't necessarily like car trips with me. Part of that is because I'm not a very good driver, but I think part of it is the music. Part of it's probably that.
Love that. Yeah. That's the best part about driving around. Just listening to good ass music. You like Halt Mulligan?
Yeah. I've I don't listen to them. I what's the fucking Equip Sunglasses song I know I listen to?
Yeah.
I know the I think I listened to some of their other stuff, but yeah.
That Equip Sunglasses was the only song I knew by them for a long time, and then I listened to a few other songs. Like there's one something about armadillo shells. I don't even know. All their fucking titles are crazy. But like I eventually I realized I was like, okay, I get the hype around Hot Mulligan. So I recommend. And I think they just dropped a new album as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're not like a. I know there's definitely a few other songs that are like in my playlist and stuff. They're not a band I like listen to religiously or anything like that. So sure. I can't name their albums. So yeah, that's
I don't blame you. All right, so
well, just I do want to like have you been shrimp welfare pilled? All right, as the last thing.
Yeah.
Are you and your audience aware of the glorious Shrimp Welfare Project and all the good work that they do?
So my understanding is they reduce the suffering of shrimp because they have more ethical practices, or they invest in more ethical processes of collecting shrimp, so they die in less unimaginable ways. Is that a good summary?
Yeah. Essentially, they work to that's like the big thing they do is to sort of humane slaughter initiative program for shrimp. So I do like say like intuitively like we all view it as good to like stun a cow before you slit its throat and stuff like that, and that's why we do mandate for certain animals you have to kill them in a humane way. The Shrimp Welfare Project essentially makes sure we kill shrimp in a more humane way by essentially stunning them before they're left out on ice, where they typically take like 20 minutes to freeze and or suffocate to death because they're buried alive in ice. Okay, they also work to just like improve the life of shrimp while they're on farms. So not only do they die less painful death, but also they'll prevent, for example, what's called eye stalk ablation, which is where like female shrimp have their eyes removed to make them more fertile, which not only obviously is very stressful, painful for the female shrimp having its eyes ripped out, right? But has negative effects on their offspring as well. Typically, the offspring is disproportionately disabled and has worse life because of it. They work to improve the lives of shrimp both on farms and before they die. But because of the sort of ridiculous scale at which we kill shrimp, a single dollar given to the Shrimp Welfare Project can save anywhere from like 1,100 to like 2,200 shrimp per year for about 10 years. So like the estimate most people go with is like probably helps about 1,500 shrimp per year for about 10 years, 15,000 shrimp in total. Okay, just $1, okay, can save as many as 15,000 shrimp from being killed in this horrible way. Okay, and by limited time offer, if you donate $1 to them on my stream, make me stream for an extra 15 minutes. So
yeah, let me
that's
drop your link.
Oh hell yeah,
so that people.
Don't worry,
and I'll raid over there when I am done for the night as well.
Hell yeah, don't worry, I know I'm gonna let you shout yourself out and plug your links to and everything. So yeah, but we highly effective charity. I know what everyone's thinking. Okay, I don't give a fuck about shrimp. Do shrimp even feel pain? Okay, why the hell should I care about this? They probably, all the best evidence we have suggests that they do feel pain. Like we see they rub their wounds, for example, when they're wounded, and if we give them painkillers, like they tend to their wounds like less often. That's a very odd response if they don't, feel pain. They do certain things like, making trade-offs between like how much pain am I willing to accept to get a certain amount of reward. That's not a behavior you would expect to see if they, didn't really feel pain. They also they even exhibit like individual differences and like how much pain they're willing to experience to get a certain reward. So that's typically something you see among species that have more cognitive ability. There's not any good evidence they don't feel pain really. Like whenever we do a study, it ends up being in the direction of like they feel pain. There's some places where you just don't have evidence for whether they observe X behavior. But, I'd be willing to bet most of those studies, if we ran them, they would observe a behavior that is more likely if they feel pain. So
sure.
There's also a think tank. Okay, people will fucking hate this usually. Rethink Priorities that tries to quantify essentially how much pain they can feel relative to humans. The best estimates they came up with, okay, is that shrimp, the median estimate is that they can suffer about 3.1% as intensely as humans, all right? The mean estimate is 19% as intensely as humans, but let's be rather conservative. Okay, let's take the median estimate. All right, $1 given to the Shrimp Welfare Project under the by that logic prevents about as much suffering. This is just 3.1% times 1,500 as anesthetizing 46 humans before they are left to freeze to death at buried in ice, suffocate to death at freezing temperatures, excluding obviously the increased like emotional harm that you get when you kill a human because they have families or whatever, right? So overall, it's just a very, very effective charity, very good charity, probably if not the most effective charity, one of the most effective charities out there. All right,
Okay.
So hell yeah.
Yeah, drop me the link to that charity. That's the one you're like if they donate. Sorry, how do people donate to you through this charity or for this charity to extend your stream marathon that you're on right now?
Oh yeah, there's I don't know if you know what Tiltify is at all, but yeah, there's a
I saw you on it earlier.
They're like a they're just a streaming charity platform, like fundraiser platform. So they're integrated with Twitch and everything, or actually not integrated, but you donate via the link that I have pinned, and I can send it in your chat as well. And it'll add.
I just posted in my chat. This one, Tiltify /@nonfun420/shrimp.
Hell yeah. We want to shout yourself out to my stream. I'll let people know who you are.
I am Ryan, Radical Coder. I am still left of the liberals. I've not been fully persuaded to join the neoliberal movement, but I am willing to microdose on neoliberalism at least.
Hell yeah.
And see where it takes me. I'm a curious cat. Always, I fight with conservatives mostly, but my main thing is learning is radical. That's like the whole meme here. That's our slogan. We think learning is radical. I do a lot of lately we've been doing a lot of vibe coding, which is if you're unfamiliar, it's basically just using AI to code to create simple apps very quickly. It's fun for iterating. It's fun for creating I actually think I might do some sort of series where I bring on different creators and do vibe coding projects in their domain. So non-fun, that might be a fun opportunity to do some economics education to the masses and to myself.
Hell yeah.
We can build little economics education modules through vibe coding. I think that might be a lot of fun. So I will be in touch whenever that's being planned out.
Hell yeah, hit me up.
Yeah, Ryan, Radical Coder, youtube.com/@radicalcoder. I have been streaming recently more and more, and I am on a lot of debate panels. So if you like debates or any of the other things I mentioned, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, we're typically, I know some of my audience knows you, okay? We're typically on the same side, all right? Typically arguing against conservatives on Sarah's panel, right? So.
Oh, and to Saucerama in your chat, yes, I did indeed go to Warped Tour back in the day from 2008 to 2013-ish. Orlando and Jacksonville Warped Tour. I think Jacksonville Warped Tour once, and then Orlando Warped Tour most of the other times, because Jacksonville Warped Tour got canceled after people didn't clean up or something.
Okay, interesting.
Just fun fact.
Right. well,
All right.
it's been a enjoyable time. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more in the future. Obviously, we'll definitely see each other on Sarah's panel. But yeah,
No doubt. And nowhere else. All right. Fuck off with your shrimp. All right.
yeah, nowhere else yet. Well, I'll see you later.
Safe, buddy.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good marathon stream. Finally, the shrimp man's gone. That was a really good conversation. Actually, I know there was a lot of non-fawn hate from my chat throughout the conversation. He is very young. No, but he knows a lot. I mean, all things he talks about, he's more knowledgeable than me. So when I see you guys like I don't know, I don't like have I'm not totally sold on either. Hang on, Umbreon just screamed. Umby, my wiener dog. All right, we have Umbreon. We have Umbreon Cam back. He's returned. Wow, that non-fawn guy was really smart and cool, says Noah. Welcome, Noah. More face palming than hate. Sure. Good job, Coder. Thank you, Mike Ball. Thank you for sticking around. I'm angry at him because I used to be him. I was in until the shrimp shit. I like the shrimp memes. I don't fully buy into the idea. Like I feel like when he was explaining the shrimp thing, he makes like the caveat about like if you remove all the other emotional value and you just measure like suffering basically as like an abstract phenomenon. And I feel like that kind of like misses the, what is it? Is that like a forest for the trees thing? Am I using that phrase correctly? It's like if you remove all this other suffering, then you can measure like one particular version of suffering. Look, I love non-fawn relative to 95% of the people that join Sarah's stream, but that's a low bar. I think non-fawn's a good guy, good kid. He's gonna go far. I think he's gonna do cool shit. I've become more aggressive against people who don't support important social needs because they literally are hurting people. Yeah, no, I get that. I think that's a fair position to have. Just been living this life for a long while now, and the Lenders Club survey doesn't match the real world. Yeah. But I think it's really valuable for people to understand all that data and all that stuff at a like I don't, and we need people who do. I need to be able to communicate with those people so I can learn. It's called the Lenders Club survey. I'm guessing it's from people who lend money and thus profit from poverty. Maybe. I think that's kind of what he was pointing to. Isn't that kind of what he was talking about when he was criticizing some of those? Because it's like, oh, these people need credit. So like he was arguing maybe those numbers were inflated because of those things. Or is that a different thing? Non-fawn's not hurting anyone. In fact, he's saving hundreds of human equivalized lives through the Shrimp Welfare Project. So true. Yeah, I don't think non-fawn personally is hurting people. I think his heart is in the right place. I firmly believe that. It's a full-time job to keep track of all that. Majority Report does a decent job of it. Maybe also Secular Talk. Yeah, I need to watch more Majority Report. I don't know what it is. I feel like a lot of their stuff is kind of dry to me. It's not moist enough for my taste. Might be a little more niche. What else? What else is on everyone's mind tonight? Let's see. It's not even 8 o'clock. What's up, Z King? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. We were just talking to Non-Fawn. I've not been neoliberal pilled, unfortunately. You know what is moist? Shrimp. So true, Fuzzy B. Half of the beauty of the show is their chat too well informed. Sure. Yeah, I believe that. Mondays suck. Yeah, L Mondays. How about taking Non-Fawn's advice and listening to an economics talk instead of the Majority Report? I think that's fair. I think that's fair. You know what? Here's what I'll do. I will demonstrate my vibe coding workflow with some economics. Noah, do you have a good like economics talk, like a YouTube link, or YouTube, like tell me a title, I guess, because I don't, without mod you can't like type links in, but can you suggest a YouTube video and I can pull up? I'm not going to watch it, but I will take the transcript of it and I will turn it into an application that we can all enjoy together. I was just watching another stream where we covered a video of an insane religious person. That sounds like a lot of my streams, but live. Richard Wolff. I still like Richard Wolff. I am a Richard Wolff fan. I always, back in the day when when Destiny debated him, that was one of the first cracks in my Destiny, my DGG indoctrination, when I watched that, because I was always, left of Destiny. And when he went on his started punching left really hard, and he debated Richard Wolff, and that conversation was just that was such a bad faith. Richard Wolff calmly explains how there's a bunch of different socialisms, and Destiny acts super bullheaded about that idea. But that's just true. There's also, that's true of any isms. I don't know. That was I remember that being very cringe. Just wrapped up work, taking the next few days to move out of my apartment and to move back in with parents in this wonderful economy we've got. Well, sorry to hear you have to do that, but glad that you have that option. Just watching another. Oh wait, I already read that one. Z King, your messages always get doubled. Making dinner, but hi, Allie. Hope your food is delicious. I've been busy with work, so I missed if there were any suggestions for fun Discord servers to join. Well, I have my server. We got the room for radicals. I don't know if you joined that one already, but we do have the room for radicals, and we still have room for more radicals. What's up, Brandon? Next, Brandon tries to turn Ryan into a jacked yet still soy vegan. I'm open to it. Maybe. I might be less open to it now than I used to be. Funny enough. I don't know. I like meat. I really love the idea of lab grown meat and stuff. As long as it can if it can match the taste, texture, all that stuff, I'm here for it. I definitely am working on the whole getting jacked thing. My desk is within a squat rack, and I've got all this stuff. Maybe I should do some dono tool where I can make people I can have people donate to make me do reps. I'm trying to do that. I was going to the gym more regularly before I got Umbreon. I went almost every morning. I was on a really good routine for a while, but then I got my puppy. You can put an ID in. I don't know what that's referencing. Yeah, we always miss Allie. I have a very interesting video to check out sometime on gerrymandering. All right. I will try to check it out. David, are you in the Discord already? I think you are, right? Yes, you are. Yeah. Feel free to drop it in either content ideas or share something. I disavow. Don't get an ice job. Tiny. Yeah. Also kind of disavow that whole sphere, especially right now. What a mess. Wait, who are we talking about here? Oh man, I'm so behind on chats. He's also crazy educated, so it's wild to throw it out since he understands both policies. Oh, we're talking about Richard Wolff, right? Yeah. He's such a genuine guy and really wants to help. Yeah, Richard Wolff. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. Destiny is a dumb, egocentric, cult of personality type beat motherfucker. That's a fair analysis. Yes, welcome. I don't know why that happens. Maybe it's because of my dumb internet. Thoughts on Mega Victory Bell? I fucking loved that reveal, dude. It was in my Instagram reels. I was so hyped. I was like, okay. I had no idea what the reveal was going to be, right? Because I just saw the I mean, I saw like a couple days before, I saw like a trailer or an ad that they were like, oh, there's some big Pokemon ZA reveal coming, and it was like the fence with like a hand, this like horror core, and then maybe we should just watch. Should we watch the Victory Bell reveal? It's so good. It's so fucking good. Hang on. Mega Victory Bell reveal. So iconic. Okay, yeah, hang on. We got this. I actually want to watch this. Yeah, it's an interesting video on January 6th reparations. Yeah, we'll see. Solid politically, but he's got some real personal issues. Yeah, generally agree. True. Very, very pro-Israel. Although when he does, when Destiny is arguing with like people who are more like Zionists than him, I think he tends to be very critical of like Netanyahu, which I do appreciate.
We heard this building gives off a strange scent at night, so we're checking it out. You got permission, right?
Yeah, let's head in. Huh? It's all melted.
Something smells sweet.
I'll get the door.
I hope we get more videos like this for other Mega Pokemon reveals.
Anyone home?
Sure is dark in here.
I had no idea what to expect when I was watching this. I was like, what? Was it a game reveal?
It's locked.
Like, I had no clue. Pokey doll. Maybe.
Oh, it's just mirrors.
Slenderman vibes, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Looks like a dead end. Want to head upstairs?
Mm.
Huh? Hold on.
I saw this part. I was like, oh, is it going to be like an Esper evolution?
Whoa!
And giant ass spinnerack pops out.
So many! Quick, up the stairs!
You all right?
That was scary. And the smell keeps getting stronger.
I'm starting to feel dizzy.
The lights are on in that room.
Whoa! Hold on!
I should call her.
Wait for me!
Look at that motherfucking
Here, this way! Get
out of here!
Down! You really made a mess of things.
thing. That's crazy. That's wild. That's wild. The eyes are so funny. It looks like the piranha plant, like the fat piranha plant from Mario. Anyway. Yeah, don't worry. It's not actual gameplay. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll never get a game that looks this good. The way it just pops out. We go from neoliberalism to what is this? Yeah, the mega victory belt.
Here, this way! Get out of here! Calm down! You really made a mess of things.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah. Sometimes we need a break from all the serious, all saving the world from neoliberalism or saving the world with neoliberalism, whichever one. Definitely a Pokemon thing. Did Ryan realize neoliberalism is fine? I think I accepted. I'm willing to microdose neoliberalism. That was my closing feeling. But I'm not pilled. I don't think I'm pilled. Neoliberalism pilled just seems like a little too much neoliberalism for me. She spin a rack till I string shot. So true. So true. Many such cases. Matthew Adelstein, a fellow philosophy bro, about to wreck some dude on Wix channel. Oh yeah? What's going on there? They wicking out? Let's see. Oh, he's fighting. Is he fighting with Gibbs? Gibbs has grown on me. I couldn't stand Gibbs. And in some cases, Gibbs still frustrates me. But he's a pretty smart guy. He can be fun, depending on what he's arguing. Neoliberalism is conservatives who changed labels to liberals. Maybe. She bouncing on my dick like Bugs Bunny. Wow. What? I don't. Oh, because it's a bunny. Oh, jeez. Jesus. Any ideology different to mine is right wing. That's true. That's actually facts. Wick is trying to help someone in an AI relationship. Oh no. Where does my audience? Where do we stand on AI? Just in general, I guess. Does anyone here like super anti-AI? I feel like you wouldn't watch me if you were super anti-AI. But then again, I've got people who disagree with me on almost every other topic. So I wonder. Heart AI. All right. We got an AI simp in the chat. We got a Grok fan. underwhelmed by AI. Have you tried Grok? You could probably get Grok to agree with you about Jan 6 reparations. Two bad bitches by my side. Jamal Do Sancho, all the French. Can't do it. Is it French? AI is inevitable and needs regulation. What kind of regulation? What do you want to see? I'm glad they took out the because I agree it needs regulation. I'm glad there was part of the big beautiful bill that initially was going to like have a moratorium, like a decade-long moratorium on AI legislation, and it would have shut down things like in California. There was a bill passed that requires doctors who use AI to generate information about their patients. It would require them to let their patients know that they used AI in generating that information. And that seems like a valuable thing. But the AI moratorium would have banned that legislation. So obviously that would have been pretty bad. I'm glad that got removed. Can be a very slippery slope. Never two without three. Vikram woke up today and cleaned his place. After that, he sat down and wrote his next script and looked for new work to apply to. AI, good or bad, is something I haven't cared about today. Yeah, that's right. Vic's living in the real world. He doesn't have time for our abstract debates about whether or not AI is good or neoliberalism's bad. Grok should be entirely defunded. I'm a Grok defender. Okay. Although my Grok defense was formed before the Mecha Hitler memes, but I like using Grok. I think AI it's really good to weave between different AI systems. Like if you're generating information or you're generating content on something, on some topic, you want to like fact check it. Like one of the fastest ways to find flaws in it is by passing that information into a different AI, right? And having it review the information, try to find flaws in it. Especially now, because each one of them is like so, it's going to be, it is like filled with your own biases and stuff. It's a double entendre. It means that I have a third bad bitch or I am a third bad bitch. All right. We love that. Ryan, I want to debate you on your take that debate can change your mind. I disagree. I feel like I'm living proof to me that it can, because I feel like I change my mind about things in debates sometimes, but maybe I'm just the most good faith, you know. That's probably like my biggest flaw, is that I'm so good faith. I'm just so open-minded. There's a lot of areas of regulation to consider, so I don't know where to start, TBH, but another idea is maybe taxing use of AI for companies can offset individual monetary losses from job displacement. Maybe taxing like AI when they like replace jobs with AI, maybe something like that. I could live okay without tech or very little tech. Sorry, Ryan. I could not. How could you watch the Radical Coder stream with no tech? You couldn't do it. Because once AI does more of the work, companies could pay you more, but they'd likely pay you less. Yeah, that is very likely. I feel like following the Mecha Hitler debacle, there's no acceptable reason to continue to trust Grok, particularly if they're as close to AGI as Musk claims to be. As someone who's very deep in the AI sphere, I want you to know we are nowhere near AGI. Okay, AGI is not. We don't even all agree on what AGI is, but we're not there. We are not there. I promise you. We are ways away from any semblance of AGI. We are ways away. AI is good. AI is really, really good at a lot of things, but we are very far from AGI. It's an internally inconsistent statement I made. Why is it internally inconsistent? I don't think it is. What did you say? Wait. I want to debate you on your take that debate can change minds. I disagree. That's not internally inconsistent. You can debate that topic without expecting to change my mind, right? Did Did I just change your mind with debate, Vic? I think I just won that debate. My biggest flaw is I work too hard. I'm too nice and too generous. Yo, same. These are big problems I have as well. Too handsome, too humble. My dog's too cute. Just gave 3K to charity. Whoops, did I just say that? But yeah, I'm a good person. Did you donate to the Shrimp Welfare Project? If I change your mind to debates cannot change minds, then I debated you out of that position. Yeah, I guess if you won the debate, then it would mean that you lost the debate, right? If you won the debate by like changing my mind, if you convinced me, then you would have lost the debate. Or wait, is it the other way around? Something like that. Ryan, you've never changed a position. Huge if true. Question, is math racist? I never thought math was racist. So I haven't changed that position because I still don't think math is racist. Is systemic and structural racism real? Oh yeah, obviously. It's cope to argue that systemic and structural racism are not real. In fact, the position that like structural and systemic racism are not real is like fundamentally racist. Like it is a racist position to argue that systemic racism does not exist, and it is also a cope of reality. Thoughts on quantum computing? Is it just hype, or are we 30 years away from an insane technology? We might be. I don't. It seems pretty exciting. I don't understand enough about it practically. It seems pretty cool. It seems kind of scary if it can do all the things that like, if it can really like break a lot of our encryption technology. That's going to be crazy. I'm not sure it can or will be able to. Structural racism is a thing. Look at redlining. Yeah, redlining is real. Was real, is real. What about all the electricity AI is using in the associated hike in electric rates? I feel like I think the bulk of it, and this is a problem, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to downplay it. The bulk of it is happening during training. So, because I think one of the issues that we demonize the electricity, the grid impacts of AI, which is reasonable to do, but people will avoid using it as like a boycott. But I don't think that's very effective, and I think that the people who are concerned about those things are the people who I most want using AI to help find solutions to those things, because they're the ones who care. If we just let all the tech bros who don't give a shit about climate change or whatever, if we let that, they're going to use AI, and they're not going to take those precautions at all. They don't care, right? I don't think we should let them run the show, you know? David says, I'm quite deep in the AI sphere too, but it's pretty clear XAI has little regard for safeguards, and it's nearly capable enough to start causing serious harm, regardless of what label Elon puts on it. Sure, that's fair. That's very fair. All the shrimps will be saved. Still laugh at Ryan for that. I never thought math. Man, Destiny gaslit me so hard in that debate. It's crazy. You know who saw immediately? You know who watched that debate and immediately came out or like understanding that I was being gaslit is Straighteraid. Straighteraid, absolute queen. She saw what was happening there. I appreciate her. Shouts out to Straighteraid. Gave me the best feedback from that. She was like one of the only people who gave me feedback from that conversation that was like actually like reasonable in retrospect. I was super frustrated with all the people who messaged me after that about that. Like, she was like one of the only people who I look back on like that conversation, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. I feel like you felt what I was feeling, and you saw what I was seeing during that conversation. Vikram is trying to Jedi mind trick you. Stop it, Vikram. Him being correct makes you correct, which makes him wrong, and yeah, something like that. Ryan equals mathematician and low-key racist. Oh no, I've been exposed. Banks are regulated on redlining. You are missing the point where we're not talking about maths are racist. We're not. Indeed. I think Tinder is right wing because I've been DMing every girl I matched with to subscribe to Radical Coder. Tinder banned me. You got to try Hinge. You got to try on Hinge and then Bumble, but keep the same strategy. Yeah, before the laws came in. Yeah, no, there definitely is regulation about that. It's not like they undid what they had done when the laws changed. They just stopped doing it, and they, the one they had already done didn't change. Or the harm. Whites were the primary victims of redlining. I mean, I imagine that like more white people might have been impacted, but like per capita, probably not. I don't buy that. AI will be detriment to our environment. More data centers will be needed, and this will affect local communities. Social media already has this problem, and AI will exacerbate this, and we need measures. Yeah, that's a real concern. I agree. But again, I the people who are concerned about this, I want to be using AI because they are the ones who are actually capable of doing something about it, and I don't want them to leave like a really valuable tool on the table. You know. That's true. David says, I use AI to build scripts for testing utility scale solar plants, sometimes for AI databases. Very cool. My electric rates are going way up, so I barely turn on anything anymore. That's unfortunate. At least you turn on the Radical Coder stream, where you should all make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't for some reason. AI centers are polluting water sources like crazy. Yeah, probably. Calling Straight Rate a queen is the worst age take with everything that happened. Do you think so? I don't. I mean, like, nobody's perfect. I don't know if Straight Rate did anything like extremely terrible. I feel like of all the players involved, I'm not sure that that Straight Rate's like one of the really like a particularly bad actor and all that. Like, not saying there's not critiques to be had, but black home ownership increased in the redlining period. Look it up. Okay, let's see. I don't know if that really, just that one stat, if that really means anything, but let's see. I'll ask. Did black home ownership increase in the redlining period? Also, that I feel like that could probably be due to like other things, like according to NPR, it did not. According to my AI, which cites NPR, it says black home ownership did not increase during the redlining period. It was actively suppressed. So that's what, according to, I believe this is GPT 4.1 or whatever. I don't know, Gay Odyssey. Source? Can we get a source? Pixie would say so, maybe. I'm pro Pixie and I'm pro Straight Array. All right, I am still pro. What was there? Was it Sugar and Spice? That was a little podcast they were doing for a while. Yes, I have to at least turn on the Coder and Umbri channel. Yes, we love that. Aaron is dusty. That's crazy. Speak your mind, Vikram. Or DM me if you have specific things. Maybe I just don't remember all the details. Maybe it wasn't with poor intent, but she was very negligent. Sure. To my recollection, that sounds right. I feel slow as fuck because I knew the 1350 date was a meme, but I never knew why. And now that I learned it's taken out of context and the misinformation has become settled is terrifying. Because I knew 1350 statement was a meme. Is that what you're saying? Oh, stat. Oh, stat. I could have looked at the membership under, or the message under that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Some people could say Strader was Snape, but if Snape forgot whose side he was actually supposed to be on halfway through, I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. Little bro said blacks were buying more homes when there were laws to make it harder for them. Yeah. Saw its biggest growth in redlining. All right, let's see. Let's see if we get. So far you're 0 for 1 in fact check claims. Let's see. Did black home ownership see its biggest growth during redlining? No, black home ownership did not see its biggest growth during the redlining era. Well, Gay Odyssey. Unless AI is... Look, AI can be wrong. AI can be wrong. Okay? Weasley. Strader is like a hot young Professor Snape. Despite these discriminatory housing policies, black home ownership from 1940 to 1960 increased from 22.8 to 38%. Where are you getting this from? Let me see. Leviosa. I actually was just listening to the Sorcerer's Stone audiobook. But I've shifted over to the Darkly Dreaming Dexter, the original Dexter book, read by Jeff Lindsay on Audible. Very good, very good. What about after the redlining? Okay, so now it says black home ownership did increase from 1940 to 1960 despite redlining, but not because of it. The period was marked by intense discriminatory housing policies, including redlining, which systematically denied black Americans access to mortgages and new suburban developments. Why did black home ownership grow despite redlining? Migration and urbanization. The Great Migration saw millions of black Americans move from the rural South to urban centers in the North and West, where economic opportunities and housing options, though limited, were more available than before. Community efforts, so black families often pooled resources, relied on informal lending networks, and purchased homes in segregated neighborhoods where they were allowed to buy. The post-war economic boom lifted incomes for many Americans, including black workers, making home ownership more attainable for some. So none of those, obviously redlining wasn't ever the thing enabling more black home ownership, right? My final statement on neoliberalism is that I'm willing to microdose it, but I'm not willing to take the pill. It's basically where I landed. Not sold on the pill, willing to microdose. Yeah, where do they get the financing if they're being turned down for mortgage loans? Well, through community efforts. So again, black families often pooled resources, relied on informal lending networks, and purchased homes in segregated neighborhoods where they were allowed to buy. So that actually, we answered your question. He just showed that they increased, but claimed they increased more than X, but isn't showing that part. Yeah, that's a very different claim. Vikram will never visit New York City. Right now, the docks are being taken over by Fisk, and Prater has an active underground serial killer group. Thankfully, Dexter's handling the Prater situation. That's true. And Al has gone back to the Midwest. So we don't have to worry about the ponytail killer. We only really have Dexter. And I guess Charlie. Seems like the New York Ripper is no longer active, right? Wingardium Leviosa. Leviosa. Surprise, motherfucker. They hated Dokes for he told them the truth. That's true. They hated LaGuardia for she told them the truth. And now they hate... oh my god. Wow, I can't believe I'm blanking. This is so... Oh, Batista. Now they hate Batista for telling them the truth. Radical, can you play that video on YouTube? Yeah, sure. Let's see. Or the you know what my favorite one actually? Hang on. It's the one where they're he's going to sacrifice himself. Harry Potter chess scene with TikTok audio. Here we go. This is the best. This is the best Harry Potter reference.
Once I make my move, then you're free to check the king. No. Ron, no! What is it? Going to sacrifice himself. No, you can't. There must be another way. You want to stop Snape from getting that stone or not? Harry, it's you that has to go on. I know it. Not me, not Hermione, you.
Wait, is this the...
I make my move, then you're free to check the king. No. Ron, no! What is it? He's going to sacrifice himself.
The leg movements are crazy.
There must be another way. Do you want to stop Snape from getting that stone or not? Harry, it's you that has to go on. I know it. Not me, not Hermione, you. I make my move.
All right, here's the one Michelle.
So remember, children, it's Wingardium Leviosa. Swish and flick.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Stop it, Rod. Stop.
Oh, Wingardium Leviosa.
Stop.
That's crazy.
Ronald Weasley. It's Leviosa.
Oh, Leviosa. Stop.
All right, that's enough of that one. Liberty Cap Shroom microdose joke. Yeah. Definitely. I think Al probably figured out Dexter was out Minecrafting them, but I don't buy the Hamilton sucks bit. Yeah, me either, because Hamilton does not suck. And Al definitely knew what Hamilton was. Velma dropping her glasses. She can't see a thing without those glasses. Yeah, well, yeah. So I was like, all right. We're going to need to see some ID, Hermione. How much longer are you planning on streaming tonight? I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit lower energy than I was. I might take a break and come back. But I want to keep going. I want to, but maybe. I'm a little tired. I don't know. What do you guys want to do? Damn, there's a lot of people alive right now. Is this all... That's crazy. Everybody's streaming tonight. If you have the energy, check the link I dropped and share something. Okay. Let's do that. Made to order redistricting. Ryan, make a clear statement saying you watched that video against your will. Otherwise, 10 years from now, a drama commentary channel might make videos to expose you for creepy behavior. I feel like you're making some false equivalencies here. But yeah, I guess they might. I disavow. We disavow sexualized videos of Hermione and any underage characters. What's up, Garuda Legends? Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Let me see. "30 minutes. All right, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of watching this, we disavow Leviosa. Someone had to say it. I'm willing to take the stance against Leviosa. Yeah, it's over for Michelle. Any good horror movies out right now? I don't know. Can I join and talk to you about 2 non-offensive topics? Can you be more specific than that? Potentially. Instead of watching this, let's not watch this. But controversial. Be more specific. What do you want to talk about, Garuda? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this. Yeah, Weapons. I heard Weapons was good. I saw like a trailer for that before it came out. It seemed cool. Oh, wrong one. All right, so I'm going to copy the link here. And then I'm going to share my data flow canvas, my proprietary software that I use to get transcripts from YouTube videos. It's draggable, super nifty, very satisfying draggability. It's even got a nice little dark mode that needs some work. Beautiful. Save. And then I can go to Gemini, say build me a single file HTML5 app demonstrating the information from this transcript in a innovative, interesting, stylistic, creative, colorful, interactive, fun, unique, amazing, awesome, wonderful way. Vikram single-handedly driving away Ryan's streams. Shame on him. I want to be able to extract transcripts. Well, There are many ways to do it. But I will. I do need to make a GitHub repo with that particular project because it is pretty cool, and I would like to share that. So remind me, keep pressuring me to do it. I need the peer pressure. I won't be rude or offensive. My approach is based on the cosmic theory of yin yang. Isn't it yin yang? I got corrected on this recently. Ryan needs to commentate on the very important issue of a big commentary guy lying about being an engineer. I mean, I will comment on this because I also believed that Mudahar was like an engineer dude. I thought he was like a cybersecurity engineer or some shit. I believed him. I believed that was the case. So when I saw the evidence that was not really the case, it doesn't seem to have been the case, I was disappointed. I won't lie. Put it on a canvas. Yin and yang. Take it easy, Z King. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. He is a cybersecurity engineer by trade. Okay, well, there you go. Yeah. Okay. Here. Well, wait. Wait a minute. Because I'm finishing this gerrymandering simulation. But I will post a link. And you can join the back. He's written cybersecurity papers that have been read in colleges and universities. That's a good meme, Vic. That is really fucking funny. Only real ones get that joke. That's a good ass meme. What am I learning from this? Oh, interesting. So if we want the election to be fair and proportional, then we should start to see things kind of bleeding out in this way. But what's if it's not, if we gerrymander for party B, I don't understand. Oh wait, I have to look at all this. I feel like this is a really cool tool that we made, but I don't have the attention span to like dig into how cool it is. So I'm just gonna share it. Oh no. I'm just gonna share it. You're learning how to gerrymander, but your code is breaking. I don't think it's breaking. I think it's actually working. Let me see. Let me start simulation again. Like, look at these. This is the fair and proportional. So the districting staying about 50-50, right? But if we gerrymander for party B, then now looks like these are starting, most of them are starting to edge, like the red is starting to take over a little bit. Slowly but surely. Winner party A. Winner party A, winner party A, winner party... Oh. Wait, but party A is the blue one. We're gerrymandering for party B. Party B runs a Cardi B. It looks like gerrymandering is not working. Maybe the code is breaking. It should resegregate into cohesive districts, maybe. All right, what's up, Garuda? How you doing, buddy?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Final Fantasy shirt. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so yeah, so the topic I was talking about is like I believe in the world since I was born in 1986 that women was fighting for equality. So now we live in a time of equality. Would it be not fair for men to be house husbands and women bring home the bacon and men take care of the kids? Because based on some statistics, which statistics is like vague, that males who raise their children have better outcomes than than women raising their children at the home.
I mean, I have no problem with stay-at-home husbands. I support if a wife wants to be the breadwinner and a guy wants to stay at home, I'm all for it. Hell yeah.
So then you understand about if we work together, there should be 50-50, right? In like a household.
I'm not super attached to the whole 50-50 like as like a calculation. I think that it's more about like both people being able to feel like they're getting a full share of the relationship, like feeling like they're both contributing in a fair way, and like getting a fair share out of the relationship, if that makes sense, whatever that means to them, right? Because it's not going to be the same thing to any couple. So as long as people are like negotiating it in a way that both of them get to express what they want, and they're both being seen and heard by each other, I just don't see I don't really have a.
What do you mean by them? Are you talking about women?
I mean both. I mean men and women, like people in the relationship. Like I don't have.
Okay,
I don't think that it needs to be. I wouldn't want to like tilt the scales in any one direction.
okay. So do you think that males are tipping the scale because we're more logical and problem shooters, and women are more emotional?
I don't know if I even. I don't know if I actually believe that men are more logical or that women are more emotional. I think that we're like emotional and logical in different ways.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. When was the last time you
Mhm.
seen a dude say that he needs a woman who's emotionally available, or they're saying that they need someone who's emotionally intelligent?
I don't know if people. Well, I haven't heard a lot of men say the emotional intelligence thing, but the emotional available one, I think I have heard a lot of men say, because a lot of men have concerns that women have like a lot of other options and they might be attached to some other guy when they're like on the dating market, and that seems to be something people do have concerns about.
So you're really smart. So I'm not coming at you. So do you know what emotional intelligence means?
I think so. Yeah, I don't feel like you're coming at me either.
No, I'm not coming at you because you're one of the biggest sweethearts on the internet. No homo,
Thanks, buddy.
but you're like
Yeah,
you're extremely cool.
I appreciate that. Um, like I guess I view emotional intelligence like understanding one's emotions and understanding the emotions of those around you in general, as like a super vague way to put it.
Okay, so do you understand emotional? Emotional dependency and emotional independent.
I guess wait, emotional dependency and emotional independence. Um, I guess emotional dependency would mean that you depend on somebody else to help regulate your emotions, versus versus being able to internally regulate your emotions.
So who is more like you don't have to say it. Who will be more of the leader? Someone who is emotionally independent or someone who is emotionally dependent?
Oh, someone who can regulate their own emotions probably would probably be a better leader, but also someone who can also like understand and empathize with the people they're leading. I think is really valuable as well,
Okay,
and
so
necessary. In fact, I think some of the best leaders are going to be people who can do that like well.
but however, though, don't you think that someone who is emotionally dependent because they can solve their own problems? Don't you not think there's a drag for someone say I need someone who's emotionally available so they can drag their emotionally dependence on someone to solve their problems?
Can you repeat that question? I'm not sure I followed
Okay.
all of it.
Okay, so someone who said they need someone emotionally intelligent, that means that they're emotionally dependent, and they need someone because they're emotionally dependent and they're not remotely close to be emotionally dependent.
So they need somebody who's emotionally available because they're not emotionally independent. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Yes.
And what's the question about them?
The question is, why do human beings have to deal with someone who has to be emotionally um, dependent versus someone who's emotionally independent? Wouldn't
I
that
feel
be
like
just a dragon?
yeah, I mean, well, like I feel like everybody is a little bit of both, right? I mean, to different degrees. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like if you have to regulate somebody's emotions, then that's generally like if somebody's not capable of regulating their emotions without you, that's going to be a stressor on your life, no doubt.
Okay,
Yeah,
so let me
for sure.
say this right. Don't sound like an NPC right now because you like code, right?
Do you wait? I'm sorry. Are you asking if you sound like an NPC or if I sound? Yeah, repeat it one
No,
more time.
you sound like an NPC, but I'm not saying that you would. But what you just said sounds like NPC language, right?
Oh, it sounds like NPC language. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay, so
I yeah, I
hypothetically,
don't know. I'm trying to think through it like in real time. I don't think I'm just like repeating. I don't think I'm like saying what I feel I'm supposed to
okay,
say.
so
Yeah.
listen to me. Hypothetically, right? If me and you was dating, I'm not into men, but like just
Mhm.
hypothetically, like you was a
I can
girl
imagine
and
it.
I'm a dude, right?
Yeah.
And you were just saying like you started crying. I'm just like, why are you crying? And you're just like, I don't know, I'm just crying. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, why are you crying? It's like, oh, okay, let me go grab you some tissue and just like here's a box of tissue, and then just leave and just like figure it out yourself. Would that
Mhm.
be not like empathy and just like, oh, cry it out? Isn't that me being emotionally and independent and she wants to be emotionally dependent? Like
Um,
me?
like we that she depends on you to help her process. Like she's crying
No,
and
you're
she wants
crying,
you.
you're crying, and
I'm
I
so
brought
sorry.
you a
Yeah,
box
it's
of
me.
tissue.
Sorry, I apologize. Right. Yeah, I'm crying, and I want you to help me. I want you to like be there for me while I'm crying. But if you were feeling the same emotions, then you wouldn't come to me to help you process them. You would just do it on your own. Is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, because everybody's like, "What's wrong?" And you're like, "I don't know," and start crying, and you're just like, "Oh, okay, let me get
I
you
feel like
some tissue," and I
I feel
just
like
be like,
I just
oh,
want you to be there for me. I don't necessarily need you to like. It's like you're showing me that you care that I'm feeling that frustration that I'm upset. I'm like you can demonstrate that by like just sitting with me and even if you might not understand why I'm crying. I might not understand why I'm crying, but I just want you to show that you care.
yeah. So I bring you some tissue, and I actually was like, "Are you okay?" And just like, I don't know, and it's like, oh, it was like, oh, like you're crying. So the first thing I'll do is like bring you some tissue, and just like.
Mhm.
It was like, "Are you okay?" It was like, "What's going on?" And it was like, "Oh no!" Start crying. I was like, "Oh, okay. Let me bring you some water." And just like, "Are you okay?" And just like, I'm just trying to. I have empathy, even though I'm emotionally intelligent, but sorry, emotionally independent. But
Mhm.
you're emotionally dependent. So I just trying to help you going through because like if you don't tell me what's going on, I don't read minds. I'm not like a mind reader. So would you not
Yeah, but
consider that like?
oh,
Would you not consider that
sorry, finish.
problematic, though? Would you not consider that problematic in a relationship?
If it's happening like constantly, it sounds like there's going to be like a miscommunication between us, where like this is like my way of processing things, and it sounds like you are resistant to that way of me processing things, and that's going to cause problems.
How was it going to cause problems? Because they're just like, "Oh, you're crying. Let me help you from the tears." And like, "What's going on?" And it's like, "I don't want to talk about it." Like, okay, and just like, "Hey, I have some food." Like, what's going on? And it's like, "Well, then
Hmm.
I guess we go do something else." And it's just like, "I have some tissue and some food." Just like, let me know when you're done crying.
Yeah, it's.
Isn't that?
I think a lot of times, like if I'm going to be crying, it's I don't. If I'm crying, I'm not looking like for my problems to be solved right then. Like I'm crying because I'm overwhelmed by emotion, and I'm not looking to fix it right then. Like I'm feeling it. Like I'm feeling my whatever is causing me the distress that's making me want to cry. Like I'm not looking for solutions in that moment. Like after I cry, then I might want to talk about solutions. But while I'm crying, I'm not looking for solutions. I'm looking to like just feel it. Like I'm just crying.
So then
You know?
so then you would, so then you would say they're just like, wow, what's going on? It's like, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, okay, let me bring you some tissue. Let me bring you some like water, and just like,
Mhm.
okay, it was like, you don't want to talk about it. It was like, that's fine. And then just bring you stuff that you need, and just like, you don't want to talk about it. It's like, didn't you just say that though, right?
Yeah, I might not want to talk about it, but it doesn't mean I don't want you there. Like to just like be with me while I feel through it, right?
But maybe have something to do. It's like,
Sure.
do you want to cry on my shoulder, or do you want to just cry by yourself?
Sometimes I want to cry on your shoulder. Sometimes I want to cry alone.
But how would I know? How would I know? Because if you try to cry on my
Mhm.
shoulder, and now I'm gonna drown because my shoulder is wet, and now I'm like literally half of my arm is what you cried on is like waterlogged. And now I can't even swim with. Oh, I have to swim with one arm. It's like I don't know what's going on if you don't tell me. It's like I cannot read brains. I cannot read minds.
Well,
I don't know
yeah,
telepathy. Well, I know
I think
telepathy,
it's
but I
fair to
don't know.
ask. I think it's fair to ask me like whether in that moment I want you to stay or not. Like I think that's fair. That's a reasonable ask. Like, and if I can't communicate that, then that's gonna be frustrating for you.
But I was there, and I said like I could help you, but you said like no, man. Like was it was like okay, you said no, and it's like damn. Well, I'll accommodate you. I'll give you tissues. I'll bring you your favorite food, make your favorite food, and just like hopefully you heal and better because you don't want me around. I like what am I supposed to do? Just like force myself into your issue?
Um, no, I think I mean if I do express like that I don't want you around in that moment, I just want some space or something. Basically, like I think that it's reasonable to give me space there. Like I'm just like, hey, I'm processing a lot. I need to like sit with myself and like go through this. I'm a little overwhelmed. I don't want. I just don't want the company right now. I think that's like again, but it's like if I'm communicating like the opposite than what I actually want. Like if I'm saying like no, like please leave me alone, but I actually want you to stay, like that's obviously going to cause friction unless there's like because you're not a mind reader, right? And I recognize that.
Yeah, because if like I walk in, right, I'm the man and you're my woman, right? And I walk in and just like you're crying, it's like, what's wrong? Like, what? Why are you crying? What are you doing? What's wrong? And it's like nothing you don't understand, or like something is like, wait, hold on, like why are you crying? And it's like, leave me alone. And just like, what? And it's like it's confusing because I cannot help you. So it's
Yeah,
just like,
well,
okay, fine.
maybe I might be frustrated depending on how that conversation plays out. Like if you walk in and I'm crying and you're asking me what's wrong, you're like, and I resist that question, I might just want you to like give me a hug, right? I might just be like I just be like, hey, it's okay, you know, whatever it is, like that's all right. Like I'm here for you if you want me to. If you prefer some space, then I'd be like willing to give you that. Like I feel like that's like what I would want you. I would want that. I would probably want the hug, but I might want some space after the hug. Or I might want you to stay and just like be there while I cry it out, you know.
So I have to sit there, turn on the TV, and you cry it out on my shoulder.
You don't have to, but like it might be helpful for me. And
But
you know,
isn't
if you,
communication key though? Because I actually was wrong, and you said no. It's like I'm supposed to just like hug you.
sometimes I mean, like yeah, because like in that moment, like like crying when somebody's crying. If I'm crying, I'm so overwhelmed with emotions that I can't have like a conversation. I can't sit there and talk through logically about like what I'm feeling necessarily. I mean, I might be able to sometimes, but like most of the time, if I'm crying, like I'm just it's literally emotions flowing out of my face, right? Like I'm so overwhelmed that like it's like it's pouring out of me. I don't have the I'm trying to I'm like regulating through that in a sense.
But
So
don't
like
you understand
yeah.
that? Like, don't you understand that I actually care? But just like I don't know what's going on. So just like, do you need water? Do you need something? It's just like help you cry. It's like if I sit there and hug you, you probably get mad and tell you like, fuck up, like leave me alone. Wouldn't it be more easier to just like accommodate you in your crying? Because I believe people should cry. I don't know what's the situation, so like I kind of don't want to like impede myself in there. So it's like, don't you admit it's super confusing?
It can be, yeah. Which is why I'm saying, like, if you like ask me, like if you walk in and you're like, hey, what's wrong? And I'm saying whether I say I need space or I just want to sit here and process it. Like if I'm sending you like mixed messages, then that's like the problem, right?
Yeah, it is because they're just like, okay, so we're like okay, maybe they don't want to be hugged or touched. They just want a little time for themselves. So like, at least let me bring them some tissue and like bring you some tissue and just like maybe they just like don't want to be hugged or touched or whatever because I don't know what happened. Maybe their friend just got married and it wasn't invited to the wedding because they cussed each other out. Maybe one of the relatives died, or maybe like their best friend other than me as the our husband died. So I'm your husband and you're my wife. I was just like, who knows? Like one of your family members like that. I don't know. So it's just like I cannot read brains because there's so many factors on earth that could make somebody cry. Maybe they just
No
finish
doubt.
a TV series and they was crying about it, and then they just like the TV series at the end of the show for the first season, they was crying. I don't know what happening.
Yeah, I think I would be frustrated, maybe not rationally, but like if I'm crying and there's so much effort being put into like figuring out exactly what's making me cry in that moment instead of just being there for me to process it, I feel like I'd be frustrated by that.
So would
Does that
you?
make sense?
So yeah. Okay. So as I'm your man
Yeah, I'm
and
your
you're my
woman.
wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you say like at this time I don't know what's going on, and I'm just like in emotions. So I rather left alone and just be like, hey, babe, I'm just gonna do something. I'm cook food. It's like, do you want anything? I'll make you special food so you could cheer up. I don't know what's going on, but once you able to like bounce back, tell me because like I mean I love you, but I
Yeah.
just don't want to like. Sometimes, do you believe sometimes they need to cry it out on their own and build like themselves, or I should cuddle
Yeah,
them like a
I
child?
think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think people are. I don't know, sometimes I'm if I, like, and I frankly I don't cry that much, but when I do cry, like sometimes I really want someone there, like someone like hugging me and telling me it's okay, whatever. And sometimes I don't want anybody around. Sometimes I just want to like be like by myself and process whatever it is I'm processing. Like it's different. I guess that can depend on like why I'm crying and stuff. But like I mean, yeah, I think it depends for sure. But it
You
sounds.
see,
But I might, if I want that space, like I might, even if I say like, no, I'm not hungry or whatever, and I don't want anything. I still like, if I do ask for space in that moment and you like step away, I still might want you to like go like come back with like a snack that I love. Like even if I said I'm not hungry, like yeah, sure. There's like I may not be communicating like yes, I would prefer food. I might not even realize that I like really want like could go for some food. But like when you come back. I might be very happy to see you come back with a treat, right?
so this is the whole reason why women say like I don't want her to eat, but when the man comes home, it's like, oh, okay, well then maybe she's on a diet or blah, blah, blah. Like you on a diet. It's like, huh? You quarter. It's just like yo. It's like oh, quarter is my woman. She don't want any food, so I'll buy me a whole meal, and then it's like all of a sudden you get hungry when you smell the
Give me
food,
some
and
of your
it's like I
fries.
thought. No, I'll be like I thought you was and start picking up my fries, and just like wait, I thought you wasn't hungry eating all my.
Yeah. I
You
mean, that can
mean
be
it's
frustrating, but
confusing? You have to admit it's confusing, though, right?
it can be. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I mean, relationships can be confusing in different ways. I could also be confused. I feel like relationships there's always opportunity for mixed messages. I mean, that's like one specific scenario that is kind of a trope, and I mean, I agree. Like I've made a lot of jokes about like women not knowing like what they want to eat. Like I feel like it's a very common thing, but I feel like it's kind of because like there's this tendency for and at least in my experience for women to like want you to make a decision about things, and it's like you can do that.
Radical quarter, you
Yeah.
cap in, radical Coda, you capping because you're on both worlds. So I understand what
so?
you're trying to say, but you have to admit though, because both on like maybe like I think like 3 relationships other than traditional like male and female relationship, you know that's not true because you did deal with like on all the sides. Because like the biggest thing is when somebody say like I don't know and be like koi and just like oh my god why don't you just tell me what you want? It's just like I don't want to solve like a 20,000 riddle and like go up a mountain and stick antennas in my my air sockets and then to like read your brain. You know what I mean? It's like we could talk to each other and just like oh it's like this is what I want. I was like oh okay I'll accommodate you or just like I'll be like no not doing it. But I'm not
Yeah.
here to be like, oh, riddle me this or riddle me that. Because they're just like, riddle me this or riddle that. Like, why am I so angry? I was like, because you farted and you lost your, I don't know. You know what I mean? You walked and stubbed your toe. I don't know. It was like we went to rub your feet. I don't know. I don't read brains. Well, I mean, I know telepathy,
Yeah.
but it's like, mhm.
Well, okay. I think maybe this is what you're saying when you're saying I'm in both worlds. But like I mean I do think that like women have a tendency to want men to lead in the relationship. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that is like a real thing. If that's is that what we're pointing towards?
No. You know when I was talking about birth was I know I judge you. So I told you like when you gave the story of the day, I'm just like, I don't care if 2 men holding hands. I was like, that shit is fucking boring. Boo, I don't care. But it's like they're playing Pokemon Go. I hate Pokemon Go because they're trying to steal my charger from me. And this is why I'm gonna throw you off a bridge. Fuck y'all holding hands. I'm like, you steal my charger. So now we have to fight. You know what I mean? That's so I'm saying that's what I'm talking about. So like for discrete purposes. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure I follow the how that relates to what we were talking about before, but I know you're referencing the story that I told where from like a year ago when somebody like tried to throw me in a lake.
Yeah, and I said like I don't care. 2 men holding hands. Who shut up? Who cares?
Yeah.
And just look, but Pokemon Go, I know this is a problem because now I have to fight it because like if I throw somebody in the ocean, I'll be able to find the Charizard. You know what I mean? It was like
I'm not sure. I'm not following how that relates to the previous.
no, you
part
know
of the
how
conversation.
it relates to it is because the dynamic between who's masculine or who's feminine,
Mhm.
and it brings back to my original topic. Are women who nowadays who make more money than men and women are more populous than males on earth as equality? Do you believe equality exists?
Do I believe equality exists?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think any two people are equal, realistically. So not really, but like there
Okay,
we
so
can like trend towards equality.
okay, let's talk about this. Like, let's talk about like equality means that males and females or anyone in any of the spectrum, every human being should be treated equally. That means like in a relationship, which is I believe is mono between 2 people, right?
I think I'm less concerned about everybody being treated the exact same as much as everybody having the opportunity to put themselves in a situation where they want to be treated in a way that is agreeable to them, if that makes sense. Like um it's less about like pure equality as much as what is it like I think equity is like definitionally like the equality of opportunity of outcome. So it's like people have the opportunity to have these different situations to like select. It's equality in decision making, really, more than it is equality in like how you treat everybody. It's like are you treating people the way they want to be treated? I think is more.
Well, so are you talking
You
about
know,
like a stance between? Are you talking about a stance between human beings, like a coupling, or are you talking about like governmental power between like capitalism and socialism?
I'm being like very very broad. Like I'm saying
Well, I know you're
like I'm
being
talking.
broad. That's why I asked you to be more
Yeah, no,
less
I know, I
vague.
understand. Yeah, sorry, I like, but I mean it in like all those different contexts. So like, I do mean it as well. I guess I mean that in terms of like economic opportunity, but I also mean it like in terms of like people like being able to build their relationships the way they want, like between like being able like to have whatever setup they want, whether it's a stay-at-home dad, someone who wants to be like, who wants their like wife to be a breadwinner. Like I feel like there are women who want to be in that position, and there are men who want to be in the stay-at-home position. And like I feel like I want the equality of people to be able to seek either arrangement without like shame or structural impunity and impotence. I don't know.
So then you would admit that without like pure 50-50 equality, or women taking over the throne and making husbands where they bring home the bacon, that there will never be equality justice based on the theory that we live in a misogynistic world?
Yeah, there might never be the like truly the ability for everyone to seek exactly the kind of relationship they want. There might not be like enough people who are interested in that dynamic, who are accessible to that but I don't think that's no, maybe that's not what you're asking. Can you rephrase the question again? Sorry, I may have lost my train of thought there.
Okay, that's fine. Do you think that okay? So I'll rephrase it because I actually forgot what I said based on what we was talking about.
Sorry.
So can I rephrase it?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, in order to have like full equality, don't you mean we have to destroy gender norms? And in order to destroy the platform of misogyny and a man's world, women will have to take the torch, and men will organically have to be house husband.
So the first, to speak to the destroying gender norms, I care about the pressures more than I care about the norms themselves, right? Like I don't
What do you mean?
I don't
When
care
you
if,
say pressure, what do you mean though?
like whether it's social pressure or legal pressure, like social pressures to like that like tell women that they need to be that, whether they like I wouldn't want a norm that says women have to be the bread makers any more than I want a norm that men have to be the bread makers or the breadwinners. I don't
Okay,
I don't yeah, I don't want either of those to be
I
like pushed on
understand.
people.
Okay, so what do you think that males or females are the breadwinners in any in society, or do you think women will be the breadwinners and males will have to resort to being in the position of a feminine role where they could be house husbands and let women rock the world when we're just nothing more than like not a misogynist world but a misandrist world? Because the
Um,
misandrist world means that they would have to have house husbands. Do you agree or disagree?
to have a misandrous world, you're saying we would need to have house
Mhm.
husbands?
No, women will have to have house husbands for a misandrist world.
Potentially. But I wouldn't advocate for that. I wouldn't want to make a misandrous world.
No, but hypothetically entertain me though.
Yeah. I think they would. I think we'd probably, I mean, it would certainly help
So
in building
women
that
go home,
world.
women go out and make a bacon and run the world, where men stay home, take care of the kids, clean the house, and make sure that they have home cooked meal when they come home, and rub her feet.
Yeah, I feel like pressuring men to be in that role would not be would be a
No, I'm
bad
not talking about
world.
pressure on men. I'm
I'm
not talking
sorry.
about pressure on men because
Okay.
I'm a pro equal I'm a pro equality person.
Mhm.
So if a woman makes more money than me, technically we could do the math. That like say if I make $75,000 per year, and she makes $100,000 per year, that means she has to put up like the 25%, a little bit more for our household. Do you agree or no?
Um, I I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure where I would. I don't. I wouldn't want to decide like for other couple. Like I feel like I want people to be able to just figure that out amongst themselves. Like I don't think that there needs to be a norm attached to that. I mean, like if someone makes more, then they should probably be able to contribute more, ideally. But like if a couple, like people should be able. I want relationships that can set that up however they see fit. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I understand this. but I need you to talk to me hypothetically because I don't understand that you're like one of the most coolest person and arguably the biggest sweetheart. I'll take a bullet for you just based on pure
Damn.
principle because you're that cool.
I'll never
Okay?
put you in that situation, but I really appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you. I am like a big teddy bear. But hypothetically though, speaking, if women wants to control the earth and think men are screwing it up, wouldn't that means that they'll have to be a misandrous and they would have to rule the world? And then they like say a female president, like hypothetically if she has a husband, the husband would be the house husband, right? And she would be the leader of the world. In any house, like say like if the woman makes more money because she has like a store, Etsy selling soap or whatever she does, and she or maybe she has like an invention and she said like wouldn't and then she said like honey quit the job. Maybe she has her own house. Wouldn't that make her the leader?
I guess that could be like it could be set up that way. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the hypothetical. I like if that's if we wanted to invert gender roles as they like existed and do exist to a lesser degree, then yeah, I think we would have to create structures that like make it the norm that men are more stay at home and women are taking more leadership roles in society and stuff. Like yeah, I think we would have to do that to kind of invert it.
Okay, so no, in the current climate, do you see how women who say like, "Oh, I make so much money, spend my time making all this money, and then now I have a house, but I'm alone because I can't find a man," because it's just like, and have you ever heard this?
Sure.
Okay, do you acknowledge that women who actually say that is just like, "Wow, I'm successful, I have my own house," and then most men said like, "I don't really care about that. It means nothing. I just want love." Or and happiness and just like I don't care about your I mean that's pretty cool, that's dope, but like I don't care to date you. Do you accept that as true or is like fiction?
Yeah, I think that men but I feel like those women like more often than not probably also feel that way about the men they're searching for. They just might, I mean, both have different preferences and dating stuff maybe, but I think the similarities there might be a lot more than we are than suggesting here.
No, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just asking questions. Don't you think these women who are like successful, have their own business, no kids, like a little bit older, maybe like in her mid 30s, maybe pushing 40, and also too like single, but do you think that a man will actually care about her? Do you think she could find a man her age in the same lane, or she'll have to find a man who makes more money than her? Or she will be able to take care of a man with her money, like a man traditionally do, to take care of a woman who like I'm making like $50,000 per year and I'll date a girl and marry a girl from working at Wendy's. Do you think women still hold that
Is the
logic?
question sorry, is the question what she should do or what I
No, the
or
question
what
is
yeah,
okay, so
sorry.
in a nutshell, the question is if a woman say a woman and a male makes $70,000 per year, right?
Mhm.
What is more likely? A man saying like, "Oh, I don't need a woman who make more money than me. I'll marry a girl at Wendy's who she treats me nicely." Or do you think a
Mhm.
woman makes $70,000 per year and say like, "I don't want to marry a dude who works at like Wendy's. I want to marry a dude who makes more money than me." Which one is more likely?
Yeah, the men are more likely to because they're more likely to want to date the Wendy's girl, I think. Yeah.
Can you hypothetically explain why?
Um I think that what the guy is valuing about the Wendy's girl um I mean when I like if I like I'm trying to think if I'm looking for a partner and I'm in the position where I can date someone who like either hmm, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I have a good answer for that. I'm not sure.
Thought food. Think about it.
Mhm. Like my
Fuck
gut is so I don't know if this is like my inner misandrist, but my gut is telling me that like the man is valuing like is in kind of like if there's like a beautiful woman who works at Wendy's, then I feel like he's not just looking for any girl who works at Wendy's or willing to date any girl who works at Wendy's. Like he's probably more interested in like the beautiful girl who works at Wendy's. Like and she's like this gorgeous girl, and he is willing to date, but he's not going to date he's not going to date just any like a super like obese Wendy's girl, you know. Like I feel like he's not interested in that one as much as he would be. Like I feel like there's kind of a it's not just about like the way you described it earlier was like oh, he's just looking for someone who loves him, but I feel like that's not the only thing that's being valued here. You know what I mean?
so a male and a female make $70,000 per year, and a dude said like, I don't want a girl who makes as much money as me because I literally don't care about it because like I talked to this girl at Wendy's. Do you think a man actually like love her, like actually like her because she actually like her personality, or do you think a man who makes like a girl who's making like $60,000 per year that they should desire this woman because she makes close to enough money when she's like boring and has no personality? Which one do you think is more optimal for a man?
More optimal for a man.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, can you describe the two options again? I'm sorry, I'm running low on steam, I think.
Okay, a girl. Okay, so a male and a female. Okay, so a male is making $70,000 per year, but he prefer a girl at Wendy's who just like good personality. She's funny, cute, and like she's music. Or a woman who like say like okay, so let me do this. A woman who makes $70,000 a year. You really think she's gonna be checking for a dude who works at Wendy's, or she gonna be checking
Probably
for a dude
not.
who makes more money than her?
She's probably going to be looking more for someone, not necessarily a guy that makes more than her, but like someone who it makes like closer. She's looking for more. But what my concern is that like I think the guy is valuing. He's the women are like more interchangeable in a way. Like they're it's more about like just like is there a young beautiful woman who I can like bring into my life, rather like the woman in that position is looking for like a kind of a life partner to go like more so in a different way. Like it feels like there's a different there's different things being valued for good or bad reasons.
So then, when you think men are more practical, and women are more materialistic, or do you think men are more materialistic and women are more mature?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure either way. I'd have to think about it more. I think they're materialistic in like different ways. Like the man is probably going to be more likely to be searching for like the kind of beautiful young girl who works at Wendy's or whatever, versus like the woman might be looking for someone who makes more money and stuff, but shows up in different ways. But
okay, so I'm making $70,000 per year, and she's making a beautiful woman making $60,000 per year, versus a beautiful woman who works equally beautiful as the woman who making $60,000 per year, making like $30,000 per year at Wendy's. Which one is more desirable, do you think, to a man who's making the majority of the money between those two women?
I mean I would want the woman who's making more money.
Okay, well then that's fair. So that's what I want to talk about. If this is why I say I'm not gonna be disrespectful, but I do have to kind of use the restroom. But if you want to talk about it a little bit more, if you want to talk about
I'm
more,
probably gonna wrap up pretty quickly. Or I'm probably gonna wrap up soon. I've been going for like 3.5 hours now. My voice is kind of rough, and but I'd be happy to continue this in like another time. But I'll
anytime,
I'll think about some of this stuff more. Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad I get to talk to someone like you with just like a good friendly conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Thanks for coming on, babe.
You're super cool. Okay, so bye. Have a good day.
You too. Appreciate it. Let's see. I didn't really read the chat during that. I was trying to like focus on the conversation. I thought it was interesting back and forth. If you have the choice of dating the same girl, but one's broke and one isn't, she's literally the same except for he could pick the broke one. Yeah, I feel like I would want. I don't want the broke one. Yeah, I'm gonna. Put on a little bit of music. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. So while I'm going to the bathroom, send in some final thoughts on whatever it is you're concerned about, whatever you've been thinking about throughout the stream, and I will read through all those when I get back. Everything after Fuzzy Bees exactly here. But yeah, I'll be right back. Look at us. Look at us. Nicody says, I feel like this sound scale is Ryan's daily constitutional soundscape too. I really want to listen to this this kind of lo-fi chill stuff when I'm streaming. Usually I'm either listening to like some YouTube videos or like pop punk, hip hop music, and any of those, or just maybe Chat GPT. Scale, not scale. Don't know. But those are the same. Those are the same thing. My brain flatlined. I'm administering CPR and the defibrillator is on its way. All clear. We're all clear. Go to Wilson's live. They're discussing Cracker Barrel. Oh my gosh. Andrew Wilson's? The Cracker Barrel thing is so dumb. Ryan literally only listens to this one song. It's a banger. Let's be honest. But just to prove you wrong, I'm going to switch to lo-fi for the remainder of the stream. What groups do you like? What do you mean groups? Oh, you mean music groups? Well, Nonfon and I were talking earlier about bands like Modern Baseball and the Front Bottoms and some of that old that like emo. I guess those are Midwestern emo. Yeah, I like stuff like that. I used to listen to the Wonder Years. I actually have my I got some records here. Let's see. We got some Yellow Card. Yellow Card, Paper Walls. That's a banger. Great album. All Time Low. So Wrong It's Right. This is a classic, pop punk classic. Unstoppable album. Absolutely fantastic. The Wonder Years, The Upsides. This is an amazing album too. This one's my first record ever. Is Commit This to Memory. Motion City soundtrack. Let's see. We got Rose by the Front Bottoms. It's a good one too. We got the acoustic Ocean Avenue record from Yellow Card. Let's see, what's this one? Oh, this is like a mix of a bunch of different bands. It's like Modern Baseball, Sprainerd. I only know The Weeks. I don't even know that one actually. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Garuda. Here we go. You're Gonna Miss It All. Modern Baseball. This was their second album. We Still Dream. This is a local Jacksonville band that went on to do a bunch of cool shit. The Guardians of the Galaxy Deluxe. Everyone knows that one. And this is a band called Calvin Ball that I got into because I used to love Calvin Hobbes growing up. And they're named after Calvin Ball, which is a game Calvin and Hobbes used to play all the time. Let's see. Michelle listens to Ozzy, Metallica, Maiden, Sabbath, System of a Down. Yeah, that stuff. I don't mind that stuff, but it's a little too heavy for me, I guess. I want a Metallica vinyl and the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Sure. Marionette X. It's a cool name. Yeah, I guess some of it's fairly niche stuff. If you weren't like a teenager who listened to pop punk music in the late aughts. Mama and Deria. Never heard of him. I listen to a lot of like pop as well. I listen to a lot of Sabrina Carpenter, like Charlie XCX. I love shit like that. Love me some pop music. I listen to Ariana Grande. I listen to what's up, buddy? Doing well. I listen to hip hop. I mentioned hip hop. I listen to like Kendrick, Chance the Rapper. New Chance the Rapper album, super good. Dead Harry. Oh, that's different. Mama and Dead Harry. Did Harry? Still, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. We're probably shutting down pretty soon. We had a conversation with a friend of the stream, Non Fawn, who tried to neoliberal pill me. Oh yeah, Hosier. Oh yeah, I love Hosier. Take Me to Church. What's that? Fall in love just a little bit every day with someone new. That's a great song. Oh, Rainbow Kitten Surprise. I wear a RKS shirt sometimes. Rainbow Kitten Surprise. Fantastic band. Highly recommend. I think they just dropped a new song too. Yeah, you're too sweet for me. Take my whiskey. Gen Zers, you might like them. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Mama and Dead Harry. All right. Oh, Dead Harry is a different. I would say you're saying multiple bands. Is that right? North American booking. I found their Instagram page, Dead Harry. Who sings the song "Beautiful Things"? I know what you're talking about. Is it Benson Boone? That's a good song. Any oldie goodies from the 70s? I love 70s. I mean, I fuck with some of it. Yeah. That one's for you, Garuda. Let's see, what else? Let me look at my YouTube music. Yeah, here's my. I'll just share. I don't mind. Wait, that's the wrong one. Share screen, YouTube music. Here you go. So I've been listening to Rainbow Kitten Surprise, How to Friend Lover Free Fall, banger album, super good album. I've listened to a lot of Hot Mulligan. I talked about them a little bit with Non Fawn. Listening to the new Chance the Rapper Starline, really good. I've been listening to I Hate Being Bipolar, It's Awesome, yay. We disavow, but man, I love the music. Also Dominic Fike's really good, especially that album. Let's see. A lot of these are like, here we go. This is all my favorite kind of pop punk. Like we got the Cab, We the Kings, I'm huge Fall Out Boy fan. Huge Fall Out Boy fan. Fall Out Boy is probably my number one band. I am a obsessive Fall Out Boy fan. So Much for Stardust, incredible album. And then right here, probably my favorite album of all time is Fever You Can't Sweat Out by Panic at the Disco. It's the one with I Write Sins Not Tragedies. Everyone knows that song. I start a Spotify blend in the Discord. Hell yeah. I like that. Beastie Boys. Listen as much as I can, but nothing from the millennial band stuck much. I do like Scene Distillers and Brody Dolly. I don't know those, but maybe I'll check them out. Is that right? Oh, I'm 92. I'm 92. I'm a little bit younger. I'm pretty sure that a friend of mine picked that song at my 25th birthday party to do karaoke in Universal City Walk, their karaoke bar there. And we had the same first and last name, or not the same first and last name, the same first name and the first letter of our last names. So like when he got called up, I thought it was me. And I think he was playing this song and I didn't know it at the time. But I was supposed to sing All the Small Things, but I didn't get to. Pre or post 9/11? Is that girls? They wanna have fun. That's a banger. That's a great song, and so true. They do. In fact, just want to have fun. many such cases. God, Acid Rap is so good. Life of Pablo is great too. That's the one thing. The one thing me and Nick Fuentes agree on is that the Life of Pablo is a banger album. Mac Miller too. Rest in peace. Love Mac Miller. Decrepit. It's crazy. Should we just say neo-goth? Maybe. All right. Final thoughts. Umbreon. What do you have to say, Umbreon? That's not... No, tell them. He's shy. He's just shy. But he loves you all very much. Appreciates you. Make sure you like the stream. I don't think I've heard of Jeff Buckley. It sounds vaguely familiar. This is a fun one. We will do more stuff in the future, if you can believe it. I think he's sleepy. He's always sleepy. Baby Umbreon. We got the baby Umbreons. Well, he's just angry. He's like, why aren't you playing with me? Which I will in a second, okay? Hang on. All right. I think we had a good radical learning stream, right? Lots of good... I love that we get to have like genuine good faith conversations here where we're just chatting about stuff and trying to understand each other. We're not at each other's throats like all these debate panels where we have to all get like super performative and scream at each other about stuff. I just like talking. I just like talking to people, you know? It's nice. It's a nice break from the... Yes, refreshing. That's a great word for it. And I appreciate you all being along for the ride as well. I am going to send you to Nonfawn because he is doing a subathon. Raising money for that charity, the shrimp charity. How did I lose subs during this stream? What's going on with that? If you're watching right now and you're not subbed to me, what's going on with that? Let's see. Am I going to send you to Nonfawn? I did tell him I would, but let's see who else is live just in case. Yeah, you're going to Nonfawn. For only $1 a day, you can save a shrimp. Or 15. What is it? I think it's like 1,500 shrimp or something like that for every dollar. Every dollar spent, you can save like 1,500 shrimp. Way more shrimp than that. All right, all love. Thank you guys. Umbreon appreciates you, but I appreciate you more. Drink water. Keep learning. Learning is radical. Tell Nonfawn that learning is radical, and tell him to take the left of liberal pill.